Okay, we're live. I'm going to be debating on the Monday debate Discord server, and we're going to have an open panel afterwards if I'm up for it. And I'll probably be on Machine Lives later tonight. So, there we go. So I'm debating DB in the corner of his profile because he's a Christian. He's a Christian is debating this one. Hopefully, we'll get Forrest Valkyrie eventually. Because that was my wish. That's my that's my main target for this debate. So I know this will totally get them. It will make his review. So 100% Discord. So I had to figure out how to double share that. If I could share my notes to the Discord so to follow along easier. If I need to get onto the stage, I need more. Pop this out. Pop it out. Yeah, I think this could be easier. Just pop this out. Ooh, I'm surprised. Well, I need that. I need the stage moderator. Yeah, change my Discord settings real quick to make sure. This, yeah, I push to talk. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. 1, 2, 3. Mic check. Mic check. 1, 2, 3. I think that's the work. Mic check. Mic check. Mic check. Okay, it's working. Mic check. Look out when I push to talk. Got sensitivity. Okay, if we keep looking to see where someone is. Okay, here's what's gonna happen. I'm just gonna start terrorizing the religion VC till my opponent sends a message.
Both camps.
Mm-hmm.
Will you get that
Well,
in inter? No, you won't, because the Muslim would be committing shirk.
yes, of course. We can like either you're a monotheist or are you.
I'm an atheist. I'm
Yeah.
a
Okay. Yeah, it'd be cool if we just update the religion explicitly. Yeah, I think it'd be cool if they just update the religion explicitly and just say, oh, those old rules, we're gonna deprecate them because they kind of suck. Yes. Yes, I can hear you.
Hindu. Like,
Mm-hmm.
are you trying to say that there's a contradiction there where they could not be a devout Muslim or Hindu practicing? Do you think that's problematic?
No,
Because
so
Like the
basically,
books, like the book says something about a group of people. It doesn't say like you can't marry them.
yeah, like for example, I'm Catholic, like, and I mean, I'm not devout as I should be, as I would say, but I know in my own
Yeah, I
faith,
don't know
like
if it's the
my
pop
own
up window. Whatever. Let me
with
mute
my
this.
yeah. Hello.
Yeah, I'm gonna hang up real
no,
quick. Yeah, I don't know if it's a pop out window or the echo cancellation. So what we're gonna do is retest the echo cancellation and see if that caused it or not.
If someone promises like, let's say a Protestant marries a Catholic, you have to sign a contract that if you have children, your kids will be, like, you're kind of like an oath to God that you will raise the kids Catholic. Like,
That's not entirely not true in my case because they're being raised both Catholic and Hindu.
no,
Which I was
but
trying to
but,
get
but
at that
in
people.
now in that case, but here's the problem with that is that if they're both being raised with that, they cannot have both views, or else that's contradicting to Catholic, being a Catholic. Like
yeah,
what they're engaging in is called
absolutely,
heresy. Like, so the
Well,
yeah, if they're
I
engaging
understand
absolutely,
in
that.
yeah,
practices.
So that's
I
what I was trying
understand
to
that.
get at
yeah.
with regards to, let's say, with the rulings of, let's say, a Muslim woman marrying a non-Muslim man or vice versa. There's a rulings with regards to why it's not allowed, and it's contradictory, like with the contradictory to the faith. Like the idea is to raise more Muslims, sort of thing.
Hello, DB. Okay, let me turn my camera on too. Okay, so it looks like this StreamYard and Discord can use the same camera device without interference, which is very convenient. Now, let's see if I can get the share screen. Okay, let's try. That's my share screen real quick. Oop, I have a lockup. See, this is why I don't really like Discord. In fact, I was actually in the chat room earlier than he was. Okay, I had to restart it then. Freaking garbage Discord. Gotta just do the Discord tab. Damn it. I gotta kill. I go back into everything. I kill it and go back in. See you in a couple minutes. Okay, I'm here again. Okay. Is my audio going through to everyone? Okay, I can't hear DB yet. Let me check the side chat. Oh, okay, got that. Okay, the thing can't put me in muted or something. Okay. Okay, can Discord hear me now? Because I know StreamYard can hear me. Is Discord hearing me? Because I was actually on just off the stage. It actually went through, so I turned off push to talk. I freaking approve it. Voice video, voice activity. It's not push to talk's not on. Push to talk's not on. I have a StreamYard up. Oh, Oh, fuck that. Then no one can watch. Then thought we were talking. Don't waste my time. I don't give a shit. It's no. Answer the question. Answer the question. You figure out. No. Answer the question. Mark and boot. Here it is. I Yeah, I'm not debating about recording. I mean, the last time I debated on here, I didn't have a recording for months. How? I don't care. Okay, here. Okay, I have to solve it. Yeah, I know. I can't hear him either. I can't hear him either. Discord's busted. Yes, Discord's busted. If someone could just restream it, we could just restream. Someone can just restream it back to Discord. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I didn't. I didn't know Discord fucked. Yeah, how would I know? How should I know? I don't have stage moderation. Can't really test it. It works fine outside the stage. It's just busted. It's busted. Okay, I'm going to post the StreamYard again. Oh, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'll turn it off. I'm not. If I can't, if it's not recorded, it's a waste of my time. Why say anything? I am speaking. I am speaking. It's. Look, I'm speaking. Hear me now. I'm freaking speaking. Discord's busted. Discord is busted. Freaking Discord's busted. And now I have my thing hooked to StreamYard. Freaking I'll try you to plumbing. Just fix it. You don't know how to fix it either. Shut the hell up. Freaking not using a shit application with like Discord. Okay, let me record and configure one. So let's see if I can plumb it because these geniuses have all the fixes. These iconoclast. Let me fix myself. You guys are retarded. You guys are retarded. I'll just fix around my supposed to do just useless. Mic check. Okay, it's important one, it's not important the other. Okay, mute. Let's mute. You need a thing that push that. Okay, let me try mute stream. Okay, they can see me. Discord's not getting my audio still. No, it didn't even start. So we can see me through the Discord. We can't hear him. We can't see him. Can we get out the StreamYard already? Mic check. No, we both can only see ourselves in Discord. We can't hear each other. It's freaking not working. DP, then let's use the one that can actually freaking record. Freaking. Get storage is trash. See, let's go back to the VC and see watch it work properly. Look.
Many feelings, yeah, the good, the bad, and if you focus on the good, and also if you're speaking about looking in the mirror as well, if you look in the mirror, you could see how your nose looks like, you could see how your face looks like, how you have been designed. There has to be a creator, just as if there's a.
Why does there have to be?
I just.
How do you know that you've been designed?
How
do you know that I've been designed, brother?
You didn't say that you were. Oh, it's not detecting anymore.
They're saying that God is in detail.
Oh,
so
no,
when we learn science, when we see like
is it saying that God is what? Your mic is a little bit crappy.
Human,
buddy. That
I used to respect you until this conversation. You know that?
That information. Eisenhower. That's what
we're categorically in the same department as space impact.
I mean, can we also make it? Wait, why do you think so many missing cases happen in national parks?
And
they honestly hide the data.
Space Apache.
The stage manager don't know what they're doing.
I was going to say points on it. That information is primarily from Greer, but I don't.
Here's now this is gonna be a programming stream. I need to go ahead and plumb the damn. I'm going to plumb the Discord and see how to fix it, since the stage managers themselves don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're doing. He didn't even try the StreamYard. He didn't even try it. So they're probably going. It's broken. Freaking Discord. I'm opening the panel now. I'm opening the panel. Yeah, I'm opening the panel right now because this is a program stream now. To get someone to. The topic is and I don't want stage manipulation. I just want this thing to work. What's the topic? The topic is can you be Nathan say God exists in any context? I have everything ready to go. It's scholar fiction around. Freaking slow mo too. I know scholar fiction get this. Yeah, Discord stages are garbage. Okay, screw Discord. I'm just gonna present my. Should I bother doing that? Okay, Brandon.
Hi now.
Hey.
What's on the screen?
Discord.
So I restream this?
I doubt it.
Why?
Because this isn't Looney Tunes.
I was restreaming on here before.
You didn't save any of them because they weren't appropriate for your channel.
I was restreaming before until you saw the Flower States panel.
Yeah. You can restream Looney Tunes when I'm playing it. Do you know how to troubleshoot audio routing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Why doesn't the Discord stage play audio even though the Discord normal rooms play audio right through? The audio and video. I mean, look. Let's go.
Before contact actually happened. And I don't know of any craft on Earth that can perform in such a way. And I think that if any human organization had a craft that could perform in such a way, they would have used it most likely by now.
You can hear the Discord.
It's probably just a government.
The thing is, like,
So
obviously
you're saying it's the government. That's a nice hand wave. Like, a lot of people do that. Oh, it's just the government.
Let me go to.
But what you're doing is a hand wave. Okay, at the end of the day, what you're doing is.
Why would the U.S. government deliberately show off?
No, in religion.
Why would the U.S. government?
Okay. Okay, religion VC. I can go through. Can you hear me?
Uncle Flame.
Hey, noble grandma.
Long time no see.
Long time no see. Well, I'm playing this through StreamYard too, and my audio goes right through with a religion VC, but the stage is broken. Maybe this, I don't know if it's a stage managers don't know how to use it, or the Discord just kind of broken, but the audio goes through just fine.
The stage thing is broken?
I couldn't get the audio to route properly, and it didn't catch any voice from me or DP didn't go through to the other side on the stage. It works just fine in the VC. And DP was unwilling to come to StreamYard or go to just a VC. So I think he doesn't know how to operate the stage, or just, I don't know. The stage is broken.
Are you trying to have? Oh, today is the debate, right?
We tried to get into it, I said I would.
Yeah, I saw.
We pretty much the audio didn't work.
Tomorrow,
or without StreamYard playing, and DB refused to come to my StreamYard, which is running. So we can have the debate with him. But I mean, I could just carry it out against open challenges in the VC at the same time. So and it was being recorded. So everyone
I guess you would have to talk to
we didn't have the debate because I'm having a record.
Did you try to talk to like one of the higher managers, like higher moderators? I should say. Like Anathema or Hannah.
I'm not sure they're around.
Oh, whoa.
Oh, hello, Antoine.
The ashes I rise, your airman is back.
Oh, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm right now eating a whole thing of noodles now.
Okay, let me try. So, Hanko Flame, you're supposed to have a debate, right?
I can see if this works.
Let's see.
Okay, I can share a screen in here still. And off the stage, it goes all the way back through, kind of. it's not that good quality on my side, but I can share a screen in here. So it's just, I guess the stage monitors just didn't have the settings right somehow, and it's just broken. Because these fine, they can hear me on YouTube. They can hear you on YouTube. They can see everything.
You want to try the open member stage again? We can try to see if it works.
Well, I don't have moderator privilege, so I can't. Wait, open member stage.
Yeah, open.
Yeah, let's try that stage.
Is this jihadist on an altar key?
Yeah, I knew it when I can't move anyone to the stage there. I don't have the privileges. Oh, okay. I'm on the stage, so she has to. I guess it's automatic. Mic check. Okay, it looks like it reads it. Let me check the chat. Oh, are you up? Can you hear me? Noble Grandma, can you hear me? Yeah, look how quick this evolved into a technology stream. I can't hear her. Okay, I had to unmute and mute and unmute the mic. Can you hear me now? Okay, Brandon can hear me. Grandma,
yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, the stage is broke. The stage just doesn't work properly. Yeah. I know damn well Scholar Fiction and Breakfast Tacos restreams Discord. Well, they don't use StreamYard to do it. But then I never see it on stage though. I never see So something's broken with the stage. Yes, something's broken with the stage.
Yeah, I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, I couldn't hear you either.
Yeah, I just messaged Athena. I'll just ask.
Yeah.
Nope, that ain't jihadist.
But with just the no VC, everything just works. So it could be configuration somewhere, but I don't know how it works. And none of the stage managers that were available knew how it works either, and I don't have the privilege just to fix myself. But they assume, well, I should have just knew it would be broken. Even though I don't have a stage, you have to have a lot of money to make a stage, and I couldn't test it. But I need to know in Discord.
Noble Grandma just left.
Yeah, I know. But I have other people watching me too, so.
Oh, you're live?
Yeah, I'm live still.
Oh, okay.
So I just make sure everyone knew why debate didn't go on as planned. The stage didn't work properly. The stage manager couldn't fix it. They didn't even try to go on StreamYard. So that's why there's no debate yet. But
hello, I'm back. I was in a phone call.
Yeah.
Wah, wah, wah. All right. So what were you saying about the fluff? You were talking about something about believing in God.
I was telling you.
And you had this new avatar, Hank?
I wasn't talking about it. You were asking that.
Well,
and I know
yeah.
What's up, Brandon?
Do you have this new avatar?
Trying to do what?
Have an avatar?
Yeah, this is the new avatar.
Oh, yeah, you have a new avatar.
We're trying to do what?
Honestly,
good for you.
Make fun.
No, I'm not.
Like, you're doing that in the wrestling. I could make sense of. But yeah, you're not being truthful when you said you want answers.
Is that why you believe in God?
Ooh. We could just have some better questions.
Idea why you want to know why there is a God. I would ask
He's an edge lord.
Like, why do you want to know?
Is that why you believe in it?
Yeah, it is.
I don't want to share with you. I would like to know about your.
But yeah, I agree. It is a very, very definitive answer.
Your views on atheism.
I don't believe in God.
Ooh,
yeah,
well, no, sound like a challenge right now. Excellent.
I already told you.
Are you sure you don't believe in God?
I'm sure.
Oh, excellent.
I'm sure I don't.
This is gonna work on you then. Let me share my screen.
I can't really look because I'm driving at 75 miles per hour right now.
Oh, okay. That's fine. Let me tell. So, I'll just get to the point then. So you don't believe in God? How do I do this? Definition of location exists.
I have a feeling this is gonna go bad.
Oh, absolutely.
Is this Daniel Hume on an alt account?
Me? No, I'm not Daniel Hume. In fact, they can still see me.
No, the guy
Daniel
with
Hume
the
sounds something like that.
Terry Gates has their profile picture. Is that Daniel Hume?
Daniel Hume is above in another channel right now, so.
Oh.
Hey, Hank. Sorry.
There you go.
Hey.
Hank,
Hey, what's up?
were you supposed to have a debate, right?
The stage was broken, but just the normal voice chat works just fine, and I could restream it to my channel so people can actually watch the debate.
Do you want to try the
Daniel
open
Hume's
stage,
here.
or
No,
I can
I don't
open
have
it
the
for you.
privileges to manage the stage properly, so I can't troubleshoot it correctly. So,
And I can help you with that if you want to.
Oh, you have the privileges? Okay, you might as well try it again.
Daniel Hume is
Do you want to go to the challenge stage or the open member stage?
I kind of don't care if they both failed.
Okay, let's go to the challenge stage then.
Okay, let's go.
It's like whoever you wanted to.
Yeah, you.
Mic check. Mic check. Okay, you're not going to be able to hear me. I'm not. Okay, he can't see me and can't hear me. Okay, disbelief for lack of belief in existing gods, but there's a problem with yeah, there's a big problem with disbelief. You lack these in definition because you have a contradiction. You can have guess agnostic theists, agnostic atheists will both be agnostics. Then you can have them both be theists and atheists at the same time. Stephen Gray wrote a paper on that. So I actually define atheist as denies witnessing gods. And theist as affirms witnessing gods is my definitions. Then agnostic doesn't affirm or deny. That way, I follow the semantic square and don't have a problem with my definition. But the big problem with atheists is that they'll deny the existence of gods, and then talk about them. That's a performative contradiction. That's a performative contradiction for they say, "Oh, I don't know. I deny witnessing gods. I don't know what they are. Peekaboo, I don't know what they are." Then they go on their talk shows for 3 hours a day. Okay. Okay, copy, restart Discord. Okay. Yes, agnosticism and atheism are different things, but there are atheists that claim to be agnostics at the same time. And okay, I restart. Okay, I restored Discord and I unmuted the mic. You can check on my side, see if the audio is coming through by checking my YouTube. So yeah, the stages don't work. The normal Discord rooms work just fine, with no extra configuration. No extra configuration. The audio from this normal Discord rooms goes through just fine. No, I'm on a PC. From you. So on a PC running Chromium for Fedora 39, the audio goes through just fine. Noise suppression. Yeah, I'm using the browser version because the app version is shit. I find a Discord app. The problem is the Discord app.
Hi there, Hank. You're a good user, Hank. I was going on I'm trying to go on 2 different panels, by the way.
Yep, so am I.
2 StreamYard panels.
2 StreamYard. Yeah, I've done that before, but yeah.
I did got a new banner for my. I do have a new channel banner.
Oh, okay. I'm not that good at user. My crap's not working. I mean, they could literally check from the other side since I'm still streaming to see what's not working. So.
You're a good user, Hank. And when I do stream, I might give you a shout out on my next stream.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you. That's not a man. Agnosticism and atheism are not the same thing. But there's some atheists that allege that they are the same thing, so they can have a higher count of people.
So I restream this?
No, it's not Looney Tunes.
I restreamed it yesterday.
Oh, okay, do what you want.
Is that I didn't know you had a Discord server.
No, I don't have a Discord server. This is the Monday Debate Discord. I was trying to have a debate you, but there's technical issues.
Why are you forcing me? You could have
Hank,
ask a different
why
question.
it doesn't work? I know there are some issues. So there are some issues with, like, especially the stage. The stage is a bit different than like regular voice chat, because it has like the automatic mute for everybody and so on, right? So they're like a bit special than the regular voice chat room. The problem, and I've encountered this problem with people using the browser version and the phone app version, because the phone app is also kind of wanky sometimes. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, the stage is totally inferior to like all other options. Like,
yeah,
I
mean,
everything the stage can do, you can pretty much do the same thing, from coordinating Restream or StreamYard or Whereby. You use the stage for actual people, and you use Discord for the Discord stuff, the chat. That stuff, you do that, everything's smooth.
I don't know, man. It is what it is, you know.
Yeah, it is what it is.
And it sucks. I know it sucks. I don't know why it's behaving differently. I'm not a programmer, so I couldn't tell you what the ins and outs are of these things. But I just know, like, from experience, they just suck. Like the browser version is the worst out of them all.
Yeah.
And second shittiest is the phone app, which is kind of like hit and miss. Sometimes it works, sometimes it can fail. And like the most stable is the app, like the PC app.
Yeah.
But I don't know if they have one for Linux. So.
Well, they do, but just an Electron app. It's a browser. In fact, it's Electron. So it's just a browser package with the rest of the app. But then then still actually still doesn't. There are a whole bunch of stuff that's still broken on there. Like, I can't get the text to end render the how I want. Like, dark mode's kind of bored. There's not part of the app.
What can we do?
You could use the right tool for this job. So if you want to actually have like a modern day debate doesn't use Discord for their good debates. We could just not use Discord.
Oh yeah, no, they use Zoom. Yes,
they use Zoom,
They don't use this.
Yeah, you can use Zoom. You can use Whereby. You can use StreamYard. You can use Restream.io, and then you avoid the issue with this one part of the app that doesn't work properly.
I mean, that's why, man. That's why, because like Discord is a very Discord was made for gamers. It wasn't made for live debates and stuff.
Yeah. So the gamer parts work.
Yeah.
And they don't care the stage works.
It is shitty.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you're paying extra for it. You're paying extra for the stage.
Oh yeah. It's like I remember because like the stage was not a thing, in the beginning in Discord. Because I've been using Discord from the beginning, basically.
Mm-hmm.
There was no like stage and all that shit, It was just like like even the video was like super shitty back then because it was mainly for voice,
Yeah.
And having like a more structured channel type thingy. But yeah, what can you do?
Yeah, well, it's really not that
I
big.
hope
of a
you
problem.
can fix it. Yeah. If you're having any issues, by the way, just so you know, whenever you're having issues with this, let's say you can't connect to the voice or whatever, it's always good to open a ticket. Because if you open a ticket, we can get like admins, not just me, because I'm just a moderator.
Yeah.
Right? I have some privileges, but I don't have all privileges. But it's good to always like get admins in here because maybe they have like more privileges, then they can see exactly what's happening. Okay.
Yep.
So next time, if you're having this issue, open a ticket. You know how to open a ticket?
I do not know how to open a ticket.
Okay, I'm going to show you how to open a ticket. Just a second. Okay, so okay, I'm going to send in the side chat. There's that thing. You can try to open a ticket now because I'm going to respond to it. So nobody else is going to be screwed, right? Just try to open a ticket to make a test, right?
I see moderate support. That's where you link me to. Okay, tickets. Call mod for ticket. Moderate systems. I'm gonna hit the button. Okay, tickets.
And this is me. Yeah, and now I can answer and I can write there, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay, I see it. So
yeah, so that's how we can then ask for more help, right? From like founders and management.
Okay, so what I should do here is say the audio doesn't work
when you
work on the stage.
Exactly. When you're having any issues like with this, try to do that so we can get people that maybe have more more roles, more to say, right? And maybe they can investigate further, like all these things. Okay. That's all. Like the ticket system is very important in this server. It can actually get to a lot of people that know how to fix these things.
Hello, fellas.
Hey.
Hi.
Hi.
I mean, I'm not a fellow. I'm a lady.
Yeah. Fellow
I
human
mean,
being, he meant.
Counts though as a fella. Well, I think that you can count a fella as a. Can you? I mean, look, usually relatively masculine. Let's look it up. I mean, I like as a native English speaker, we can sometimes say fellas, even if there's a woman involved.
I mean, sometimes you can say, "Hey guys," and it's a group of people, both men and women, right? So you just, "Hey guys."
Okay, so fellow. I mean, look, fellow generally means like a guy, right? It does mean that. But it can mean something else, right? It can mean like just any person who like does something like similar to you, right? Like, for example, we're all in a Discord call together. So we're all fellas. We're all fellows.
Yep.
Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah. Fellowship.
My chat doesn't really have any bad words.
See you guys later. Have a great rest of the evening, babies.
Thank you, Daniel.
Bye, Daniel.
Wait, why are you leaving?
It's late, man.
Don't leave.
It's late where I am. That's the problem.
You can ask people
See you guys.
not
And
me on the
gals.
panel.
Later. Bye bye.
You're on my panel, but you're not on their panel because I'm not routing the audio back through from you to them, and I haven't figured out how to do that yet. It's possible for me to do probably, but I haven't figured out how to do that yet.
What?
Oh, sorry, I was talking to someone.
What are you trying to do?
I was trying to debate. I was set for a debate, but the stage didn't work properly, so I filed a ticket. Plus, my opponent didn't want to come on StreamYard, which I had. It's still warmed up, but I could just talk to you. Pretty much, the resolution was, "Can you be an atheist?"
Okay, what do you?
The resolution was, "Can you be an atheist and say what?" Yeah, can you be an atheist and say God exists in any context? And I'm arguing on the negative.
I don't get how you could.
Oh, you don't get how? To make it.
I don't get how anyone could be an atheist and say that God exists in any context. So I'm also on the negative.
Yeah. So
I don't believe that you can.
Here's the thing. One problem that happens on atheist talk shows is that they say, there's no evidence with God. Then they tell us all about how God's doing bad stuff. So that's a performative contradiction. If you profess to not know anything about the thing, you can't come out and say, well, here's the information about the thing.
Okay.
So that's
I don't what. I didn't follow what you said.
Yeah. Well, you know how Dark Matter 2525 has cartoons about God?
Yeah.
Well, you can see God in those cartoons.
Yeah.
Therefore, you could, since you can see God in those cartoons, you have evidence for God now because you can watch God in those cartoons.
Well, that's not really God itself, though. That's just like a conceptualization of God that's in an artistic work. And so God exists in that artistic work, but God does not exist in reality. And theism versus atheism relates to what you believe about God existing in reality, not God existing in some artworks. Every person is obviously able to be convinced that God exists, unless they're very unreasonable, able to be convinced that God exists in some artwork. There are plenty of artworks that depict a God. So it's almost like a nonsense discussion if that's genuinely what your opponent is saying. That isn't what he's saying, right?
Well, the issue is, where's the line? Where's the line between the art and reality? What's the hard
Can I just say I wasn't expecting CTS to sound like that when I logged in here. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Oh, what did you expect me to sound like?
I don't know. I saw that picture. I just did not expect you to talk like that.
Did you expect me to sound more feminine? More like a girl?
Yeah, maybe.
A little bit squeaky, like Albin, Simon, or Theodore, like a chipmunk. Like, what's he getting at?
Yeah, I was just like, oh, normal fucking man.
I don't what do you know what I keep digging you about 4 feet down. That's amazing.
Yeah, my girlfriend put this photo on my account at some point. I don't ever change the photo of my account.
It's very creepy, I have to say.
Doesn't bother me.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of creepiness. I mean,
what were you guys talking about? Before I interrupted with my silliness, but what were you guys actually talking about?
Well, we were talking about So okay, I'll give a quick summary. He's about to have a debate where he argues that a person who is an atheist cannot believe that a God exists. And I guess.
Well, I'm saying going further than that.
Specific?
I'm going further than that. If you're going to claim that no gods exist, you can't go on to say here's their properties. That doesn't make any sense.
What do you mean you can't go on to say here's their properties?
Well, you affirm that you don't see any gods. Then how can you talk about gods if you don't know anything about them? You don't witness gods. How are you going to elaborate on here's what gods do?
It's because the God the concept of God is a defined concept that's understood.
No, I got a good essay for that point, Hank. There's an essay. It's only 15
So, for
pages
example, I
long.
don't need to know. For example, let's just say I don't believe that trees exist, hypothetically. I don't need to know all of the properties of every possible tree. All I need to know is the general concept of what a tree is. Same for God. If I know the general concept of what a God is, then it has a specific meaning. Now, if you have a different definition of what a God is, for example, let's just say, hypothetically, you define a tree as any plant. Well, that doesn't mean that that's really what a tree means. And same with God. When you say, I don't believe that a God exists, I'm a person who's generally an atheist would specifically be saying, I don't believe that the concept that's usually understood to be a God in the theistic sense exists in reality. That's kind of what the theist.
I don't know, maybe
I think so. You should
Hank,
be more
maybe
clear
you
and be
could,
explicit about which gods you don't believe in.
Could you say that again?
Hank?
I think you should be just explicit. I'm sorry, we're talking at the same time.
So we stream
Yeah,
this?
I think there's a little bit of delay. I think your mic has like a 1 second delay compared to everybody else.
Yeah,
so sometimes it gets interrupted. Could you repeat your question again? Hello?
Bully? Manny's an accent.
Hank, you. I'm talking to you.
Hank of Lamo, or Hank of Flamo.
Yes.
I'll just swear.
What was the question you asked?
Excuse me. I'm gonna remove you from the stage for now, Brandon. Okay, my question.
What we have here is a failure to communicate.
Yeah, I know. So
okay, so you're leaving now?
No, I just moved. I had someone else on my stage somewhere else. I just took them off because they weren't paying attention. So,
okay.
So the question was, so how can you tell me more about the properties of a thing when you just told me that you don't affirm any properties about the thing? You don't know anything about it. You deny witnessing it.
I do know things about it, though. I know. Okay, for example, let's just say hypothetically, I don't believe that Tyrannosaurus Rex exists. Well, I know properties about Tyrannosaurus Rex. That doesn't mean that I believe that it exists. I actually do believe that Tyrannosaurus Rex existed, but I don't currently believe that Tyrannosaurus Rex exists. And that's an example of something that I could point to you precisely the properties of it. We have skeletons of Tyrannosaurus Rexes that used to exist, so I could tell you what kind of skeletons they would have to have. And let's just actually go with something that never existed, right? Let's just say unicorns. So I could say I don't believe that unicorns exist. Well, what is a unicorn? Well, it's a horse that has a horn that has magical properties. What are magical properties? Well, we could get into that as well. But the point is that I know what a unicorn is. When I say I don't believe in a unicorn, I'm not saying that I don't believe that a unicorn exists in a fairy tale about unicorns or with magic. I'm saying that I don't believe that unicorns exist in reality, in the actual world, not just in art. And so that's the same about God. If I say that I do not believe that a God exists, I'm talking about the general conceptual understanding of what a God is. That people usually know what you mean whenever you talk about a God. Now, there are many different definitions. Some people omit certain kinds of gods that other people might think is a god. Some people have a very wide definition of gods. But the point is that a general understanding of what a god is, which to me is a magical being that is conscious, that usually that creates universes, but there are other kinds of gods that don't necessarily create universes. So I guess we can get more specific. A magical being that is said to be supremely powerful and either creates universes or is in some way a super powerful entity that has interactions with people and is supernatural. We can keep listing a bunch of properties, and we would get to a definition of what a god is. Once you have that definition, I don't even see the argument at this point.
Okay.
Once you have a definition of what a god is, all you have to do is define it. Once you've defined it, and you say, I do not believe what I just defined exists, you have a very clear definition. And again, you're saying that you don't believe it exists in reality. You may think it exists in artworks and books and stories. but you don't believe that it exists in reality. That's really specifically what you're saying.
So what is the barrier? Where's the art barrier? How do we tell the difference between the art and reality? Where's the demarcation point?
Right. So a real thing would be something that actually exists in reality, that actually has the physical entity itself exists. So, for example, we could say that Voldemort from Harry Potter does not exist in reality because the physical manifestation of Voldemort's body does not exist. The physical manifestation of something in reality that can actually have influence over the world, as Voldemort is described as having in the Harry Potter books, does not exist. The concept of Voldemort does exist because it's described in the books, but Voldemort himself does not actually functionally exist, because Voldemort himself is, like I said, an entity with all of the defining characteristics as described in the Harry Potter books does not exist.
Okay.
That's precisely what I'm talking about. So it would need to be an entity, and when we're specifically talking about a being, it would need to be some sort of entity, whether it's natural or supernatural, whether you can actually find it in the universe that's observable or not. It would have to be some sort of entity that exists, that has some traits, and that has some actual influence over the world as described, or over the universe or world as described in whatever book or story or what have you, or person's mind.
Okay, because money exists.
Allegedly has.
Would you say?
Say again?
Would you say money exists? Yes or no?
Depends on what you mean by money. I believe that bills of currency exist, and I believe that the concept of money exists. That is a concept, conceptually, money as a method of measuring wealth and a method of measuring value exists. So two versions of money exist. There's actual physical notes of currency and change and coins, and there is the concept of money that does exist because it has some measurable influence over the way people behave. But that concept is usually associated with some sort of physical manifestation. So, for example, even Bitcoins, they have actual physical manifestations because there's some sort there. The blockchain is actually changed in some way. There is a physical manifestation of the blockchain. The blockchain has some physical manifestation and some physical traits. And so every form of money has some form of physical traits. Even if, for example, you're talking about a bank that's just measuring how much money they have by punching it into a computer, that computer is measured by some electrons that are measuring that value. And so that's how I would say, wealth, even conceptually, even if we just say, for example, currently I have a friend who owes me, let's say he owes me about $10,000. So we'll say that in a sense, by the concept of currency, that $10,000 is my money and not his, even though he technically physically has that $10,000. So I guess in a sense, currency exists as a concept and as a physical manifestation.
Okay,
so that's my answer.
So if someone were to dress up as Voldemort and act him out in a movie, that's not an effect in reality.
So if someone were to actually dress up as Voldemort and have all of the actual powers that he has, and also not just be dressed up as him, but actually have the DNA. Now, here's the thing. I don't know how specific they get with Voldemort. I don't know if they talk about his parents and his family lineage. I don't know enough about Harry Potter to know that. He would need to have all of those traits. So the person who's born needs to have parents who have that, and needs to have all the physical traits. He needs to have the actual background of his life needs to be the same, right? So I don't know what I've not read Harry Potter. I just know I've seen some of the films. I know about Voldemort. So I don't know enough about what details they gave to him, specifically what he looks like. But if there was a person who looks just like Voldemort, has the same parents, has the same background as Voldemort, and has the same actual powers, that is, he has those same exact magical powers as Voldemort, then I would say that I am now, if you could demonstrate that that's true, that would be sufficient, at least for me to believe that Voldemort exists. Although you could be technical, because it could be that someone who is very, very similar to the character described as Voldemort in the Harry Potter books exists, and it's not actually Voldemort. And so it would be tough to make a differentiation, But for all intents and purposes, I would say that Voldemort exists by that definition.
Okay.
I think that you could go that far, and it wouldn't even be that big of a give, I guess, to say that if that happened, then Voldemort actually exists.
Yeah, because if you go get too pedantic, you can use the same line of reasoning to prove Donald Trump doesn't exist. Because there's stuff that said about Trump that he didn't do, therefore this guy who acts kind of like Donald Trump, he doesn't exist because it doesn't meet all the attributes of what I think Trump should be. So that's why I won't be so
okay.
pedantic.
So I'll say that by the description I just gave, if someone had all those properties, then Voldemort, I would accept that Voldemort actually exists. The problem is that nobody has those properties, right? Nobody actually has those magical powers. Nobody can say, Avada Kedavra and cause you to die. That's just not a thing. I think that's the phrase that makes you die. Anyway, that's not a real thing in reality.
Yeah, but here's another issue. Like Thor from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, all the supposed magic had a scientific explanation for it. And all of the Asgard stuff was just high technology. So if magic's the requirement, then Thor would not be a god, even though he's officially recognized as a god in his own universe.
So just because something is recognized as a god in a specific universe or a specific story doesn't make it fit with the definition that we would be giving a god. Remember, I talked earlier about how we would create a definition for God, and that would be what we mean we don't believe in whenever we say that we do not believe that a God exists. We would have some definition, and so let's say, for example, there's some TV show or film where a god allegedly exists, and that god, they call him a god because he has supreme technological prowess. He has all of this technology at his disposal, and it makes him have allegedly godlike powers. And in that universe, he's defined as a god. That definition wouldn't fit my definition of a god. So when I say I'm an atheist, I'm not saying that I don't believe that exists, although I don't believe that exists either, at least not currently. I'm not convinced that it could never exist, but I'm not convinced that exists. But I wouldn't fit that as part of my definition of being an atheist. And an atheist is specifically, I'm talking about the kinds of gods that we would see, primarily the ones that create universes. That's the more theistic view of a god. But, there are other kinds of gods. For example, the Greek gods, they don't necessarily create universes. They have other supreme powers. And I would fit those in my definition of a god. I actually don't have a precise definition personally of what a god is. Well, I could think over the course of several, dozen minutes or several hours how to make a very precise definition of a god. I just haven't done that because generally people understand what I mean. Whenever I say a god, it's kind of, people know what that is. People understand what that means.
You don't even need to establish a definition to take the null hypothesis. If somebody is coming and positing the existence of a god, like the responsibility and the argument to define what they mean by God is that's on them, right?
Well, here's the thing. I think that what he's getting at is let's just say I don't believe that a god exists. Let's say I say that, and then he says, "Oh, really? Well, look at that tree. That tree is God. You can see it right there. Do you not believe that tree exists?" If you don't have a definition for what God is, the person who you're speaking with could say that you're not making a valid argument. That's kind of his point.
Yes, it is.
You need to have a definition for what God is.
If I was talking with somebody who says, I believe in God, and for the sake of this hypothetical argument, right, I define God as being equal to that tree. It's well, I believe in that tree, so therefore, by your definition that I'm accepting for the sake of this argument, then I would believe in God. I think it's simple as that, really.
Correct. I agree with that. It's just that's why we would need, in order to be precise about the meaning of what an atheist is, we would need to define precisely what a God is. But I think that once you define that...
Yeah, I consider myself an atheist too, but really that is tentative on it depends. My status as an atheist is going to be dependent on what your working definition of a god is, and it just so happens that in a vast majority of cases, people's working definition of a god is something I don't believe in. But I've actually run into people where they was okay, I define God in this extremely esoteric, novel way, where it's okay, this is just kind of appealing to the sense that there is higher orders to reality that like we don't understand, and then it's kind of like, okay, I think that's reasonable. I probably would believe in that. So if that's how you define God, then I guess for the sake of this specific argument, then I believe in God, right? But like that's not how anybody uses it.
Yeah, I thought about this. My definition of God is very simple. It's an anthropological one. My definition of God is object of worship, and my definition of object is that which you can imagine or draw, aka that which has shape. So
I don't think that's really a very accurate definition of the word God, as most people mean it. For example, the Christians would not accept that. Most Christians, I think, would not accept that definition of God, because I think most Christians don't believe that God is actually an object. I think that many Christians believe that there is no physical manifestation of God, at least in our universe, that God has no physical properties in our universe. They may believe that he has some physical properties in some metaphysical or supernatural sense, but they don't all believe that God is necessarily an object.
Oh, but that's contradicted by the Bible itself. I actually have so in Exodus 20, it's contradicted by the 10 Commandments. So Commandment 3, thou shalt have no other gods before me. Commandment 4, 3, 4 is thou shalt not make unto thee any graven images or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or is in the earth beneath, or that is the water underneath. So, and the last one is thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generations of them that hate me. So God has properties according to the Bible, jealousy. God has an image which you're not supposed to engrave, and God acknowledges other gods which you shouldn't worship. So if you go by the Bible, all of those are false.
So, but the problem is that I don't think that defines God as an object, though. Just because God has properties, and just because things in heaven may actually have some sense of a physical manifestation that exists in some plane of existence, I don't think that makes those necessarily objects, because they could have, by a Christian's understanding, they could have better, or not better, they could have properties that are not applicable to the universe as we understand our physical universe.
Yeah,
they could have more supernatural properties.
But God says it's possible to draw God, and you shouldn't do it.
Right? I don't really think that. It's not even that definition is inaccurate. I don't really think that definitions are subject to be accurate or inaccurate. It's that definition has very little utility. It's not very useful. It's not a very useful definition.
Right. That is a way I like to look at it as well. I've spoken with my linguist friend who always tells me that when we talk about definitions.
Yeah, like definitions are arbitrary at the end of the day. Like if you take it down to like prop logic or whatever, I can define anything to be anything, right? I can define all things that are not C to be A, and then for the purpose of this logical exercise, I will deal with that in terms of A, because I've defined A to mean all things not C. Right, like definitions are arbitrary; they're not subject to incorrect. Or
I agree with that. So I'll amend what I said.
Make them because they have utility, right? So, like when you define God in this way, where it's like an object that you worship, it's like okay, that's it's valid a definition of anything, but like what is the actual utility in that definition?
Utilities I can actually test. I can test something to God by looking at the anthropological records. So all I need to do is know it's an object and know it's being worshipped. So worship's just why do I say worship was here?
Yeah, I mean, like I have no problem believing in people worship certain entities throughout history.
Reverence is dedication.
Fundamentally different to whether or not those things exist in a material way.
Well, I'm a monist, so I really don't want to make a distinction between material and immaterial, because I think it's all the same substrate anyways. I don't have a good reason yet to make a distinction.
So your point of view is something like the fact that people worship a certain entity means that entity does meaningfully exist in some sense.
Yes, because we're interacting with it.
I mean, yeah, that's fine, but that's just not how anybody that's not how anybody treats the term God, right?
Well, the big issue is that they don't have a test for gods, and I do. So they don't know what they mean by the word God, and I do. So you might as well use my definition because at least we can do a test.
I do know what I mean. I'll say that I disbelieve in any particular God that's been presented to me. It's just generally people present to me concepts that are more like what I understand to be a God. For example, the Christian one. I don't believe in that. Don't believe in the Muslim God. Don't believe in any of the gods that are in the Greek religions. I don't believe in. So
you believe in money, though, and money gets worshipped.
I do believe in money, but that doesn't mean I don't define money as a god.
The thing is,
I guess that's the difference. Is my definition does not include money.
All right.
And
well, how would you know
so
money wasn't a god?
Because I don't define it as one.
Okay. The thing is, your definition's an empty set, though. There's empty set.
What do you mean it's an empty set?
But would you place? Well, there's nothing. There's no objects that you would say is in a set.
There's no real ones, but there are concepts that I don't believe exist in reality that I could say are part of that set.
Yeah, I'm not sold on a concept object distinction.
We can put one example onto the set. We can put the God as defined in the Bible. So we could look at the Bible, we could figure out all of the traits that are attributed to that specific God, write them all down, and then say, this is one God that's a member of that set. And we already have one entry into the set. So it's not empty. Same if we talk about the Muslim God. So we could read the Quran and all of the other Muslim holy texts. We could look at all the definitions and descriptions of God that are written down and then put them together and say that entity is the Muslim God. So we can do that with every God, right? We can do that with every
Does
God
that include
concept.
Kim
It would be
Il-sung?
time-consuming.
Does that include Kim Il-sung, the founder of North Korea?
Does that include the founder of North Korea?
Yeah, Kim Il-sung. Does that include Kim Il-sung?
He's saying that people worshipped him as a god.
Yes.
No, it wouldn't fit my definition of a god. Just like I said, we went over this before, how just because someone or something is defined as a god in some other context doesn't mean that it necessarily follows my definition.
I mean, they have a calendar dedicated to them. They have a whole calendar system, just like Jesus.
I know, but I'm telling you that it wouldn't apply as a god by my definition because it doesn't meet the criteria of my definition. Now, I'm actually don't have an extremely precise definition either. I could tell you, if you give me an example, whether I think that thing applies as a god. I think that the definition would have to be long enough to have a very precise definition. I'd have to probably spend about an hour thinking, okay, is this a god? What kind of traits? And then apply each of the traits to the definition that I think would finally work, a functional definition. I am convinced that I could make a definition for what a god is. I just never have done it because I've never really had a real reason to. I think that people generally just know what I mean. If I'm talking with a Christian, they know what I mean by God. If I mention another God, they know kind of what a God is. In pretty much every conversation I've had, there's not really been confusion there, so I've never really had to come up with that precise of a definition. I think that I could, though. I think that it's definitely possible to do. But again, just because other people have a different definition, I don't subscribe to their definition. So I do believe that, for example, the founder of North Korea exists or existed. I don't believe that he or she is or was a god. And so that's just, I'm still an atheist, So that's kind of where I am with that. And if you want, like, I could over the next day try to come up with a definition of God. If you want, like, I could sit down and really, it's just I'm going to be busy. Maybe it would take 2 or 3 days because I'm going to
take whatever time you need. I just find just that the atheist definition of God to be really sloppy and doesn't just mesh with my framework. It kind of doesn't make any sense. We say, well, I disbelieve in God. Now I'm going to talk about him for 3 hours on my atheist talk show. It doesn't make any sense.
You're going to talk about what atheist talk show?
I'm not. It doesn't make sense to me that you say I disbelieve in God.
The problem, though.
Then I'm going to talk about.
It's useless to come up with a definition of God as an atheist because, like, like everybody, there are so many different takes on definitions. On like, everybody means something different, seemingly when they use the term God. So, like, exactly what's going to happen if you're an atheist and you come up with a definition of God, and then you come into like a discussion with like religious people, and then they ask you to define God. You'll define God. And nobody is going to think that your definition is correct, ever. Nobody will ever accept your definition because everybody has their own special definition. And there's like a lot of people too, and I'm not accusing you of this necessarily, but there's like a lot of people too who are like religious or like more theist, or I don't know, some of them might even like dispute that label. But it seems like what their game is, that it's like, I don't know, the classical traditional understanding of what God is too hard to argue for. So what they do is they like twist that into some other novel esoteric definition that's like, well, actually God is when you do X, Y, and Z, that's God. And it's like some obvious thing that like everybody like would believe in some sense, and then it's like, okay, well, I guess I believe this, and then they're like, haha, so you're not an atheist. It's like, okay,
yeah,
like, okay, what did we even talk about here? Like, what of substance was even discussed? Nothing. Nothing. It's just word games.
But the problem I have is that atheists will define God's out of existence. So no matter.
I don't define God. I just
anything
work with whatever.
You can find in reality, just say, well, that's obviously not God. No matter what you put in front of them. So, and that's
I don't define God. I just work with whatever definition is presented to me.
I think one of the most common definitions of God is a magical being that creates universes. That's one of the most common ones, and one of the most common simple ones. And that's usually what I'm referring to.
Yeah, but no religious person is gonna agree with that definition because, like,
are they not? I mean,
does Stan Lee count?
Like, that's the Christian God, the Muslim God.
Yeah, but they will introduce all of this esoteric terminology about how like actually that's an oversimplification and it's more complicated than that because like the attributes of God are this, that, and the other thing.
Well, even if it's a simplification, it's still those are some properties that their God holds, and that's the only ones that I really need to.
All right, so
I think what most religious people would take exception to, I think what most religious people would take exception to there in that definition is the term magical, because it like it's I don't know, it's like it has a certain connotation.
It's a weasel word
that they don't like.
Yeah,
they don't like the connotation of magical, even though like probably it's a fine word, like it's pretty accurate, but.
Well, would Stan Lee qualify as God since he made a huge portion of the Marvel universe?
Stan Lee?
Yeah, Stan Lee, the writer. He made
Marvel comic.
Yeah, he made a Marvel comic universe.
I'm trying to. We already talked about this. I think we already had this conversation.
Okay, so you did say he doesn't count as magical,
and I don't agree with.
He does not count as magical.
Right, yeah. If it's not magical, then by my definition, by my understanding of what a god is, then that wouldn't apply. So if you have something with godlike powers because it has extreme technology, for example, like isn't that what you're talking about?
I don't know what you mean by magical now.
No, he's trying to say that like Stan Lee is a god because he created a universe, which is the Marvel universe.
Okay,
right?
Yes.
I understand.
If I was in a discussion,
that's not a universe by my definition.
Yeah, if I was in a conversation with somebody and they threw that out, I would be like, shut the fuck up, that's stupid. You know what I mean?
Well, I think magical is stupid. I feel the same way about
Do you guys can you guys hear me? Do you have any reason to not believe in God?
I've never been presented with any good reasons to
I'm not convinced.
Well,
pretty much what he said.
You haven't been presented with good reasons. Do you know the distinction between like stance dependent and stance independent reasons?
Why don't you just present
tell me.
reasons?
Yeah, so it's either the case that like reasons exist like outside of your desires, what you want to believe, whatnot, or they are dependent on them. So if you say that they're not dependent on them, I think that's like a different view. But I was
Okay,
just
yeah, they're
wondering
not.
if you think.
I would say
Yeah.
for me that my beliefs are not dependent on my desires. As far
Not
as I
your belief.
understand,
No, your reasons for belief and your reasons for action.
I don't know if I follow what you mean.
Yeah, reasons are going to be like normative concepts. So like normative concepts are going to be dealing with evaluative claims. So when we think of like reasons, when we have like a reason to do something, that means that we have like a motivation. That would entail that we have a motivation,
Okay,
which means that we take ourselves as like an agent that ought to do the thing. If we have
Right,
a
I get what
my
you're
normative
saying.
position my normative position is that I think I ought to believe in things that I'm convinced are accurate.
Correct. I ought to believe in things that I'm convinced
Yeah,
are
well, the
reasonable.
point is that like you can create like different hypothetical norms, but if you don't think there's like at least one norm that's going to be like categorical, that's going to be like outside of these like hypothetical norms, then the problem is that like we give like a reductio on your view, because like if you don't accept any categorical reasons at all, then you wouldn't be like able to have any
What do you
justification.
mean by categorical reasons?
Categorical reasons are just going to be
I think
reasons.
are you the fellow who I spoke with before who had the? I was speaking with you with Tartarus. Is that the? Are you the same guy or is it someone else?
I've talked to Tartarus before.
I don't know.
Was your name Legoat before, and you changed it?
Yeah.
That was you. Yeah. Okay. So here's the thing. I just want to say
strategy.
something. I just want to say something. When I speak with you, I don't know a lot of the philosophy jargon terms. I've never really studied those. So when I speak with you, it really does feel difficult to follow a lot of the terminology that you use. So if you could like try to dumb down your language just a tad, or expect me to be confused about some of the terms that you use often, because that was.
It sounds like
Tart
he's
gave you
trying
this
to define
explanation the
God
other
into
day, right?
existence with metaethics, which is
Yeah, I get
good
what a
luck with
norm
that.
is now, for example, but there were a lot of terms that you kind of sprang upon me, and so I haven't had time to absorb those. I mean, you know, in order to learn a word, you need to be exposed to it several times.
Yeah. So like one of the common critiques is that like if you don't think there are these norms that are irreducible, that they exist like outside of our like stances or whatnot, you think that all norms are going to be like reducible. The problem is that like
Well, what do you mean
if
by
you have
reducible?
like it's gonna be reducible to like your desires in some way. It
Yes.
could be like a first or second order desire. Yeah, but it's not gonna be the kind of thing that can exist outside of your desires. So the issue with that is that like if you have like a hypothetical norm, for example, standardly in philosophy, like most people take hypothetical norms to be like counting in favor of relations. So it's just going to be like a certain type of identity relation. But the point is that when you're reasoning about like a hypothetical norm, you wouldn't be reasoning about the norm because you would just be like you would just be like introspecting your own like desires, if that makes sense. Like you wouldn't be able to reason about the nature of the norm because you think that the nature of the norm is dependent on your desires. So you'd be reasoning about your own desires, which would undermine agency, right? Because you would just be like introspecting. So that would be like one way to attack your position, if you understand that critique.
You just need to write it all down. I think that I won't be able to follow it whenever you say it aloud.
So is
It's
it
just there's
something
too
along
many
the
terms
lines
that I
of?
could.
Is it something along the lines of, you know, we have like normative values that we adopt, but like the normative values in and of themselves you can't necessarily derive objectively determined metaethical values from normative values. Is it something like that?
Not at all. The critique was having to do with the anti-realists like just having a claim to like projective introspection of their own desires when they're talking about how they have epistemic access to like some norm, because the norm isn't going to exist outside of them. So it's always going to reduce down to them just introspecting their own desires, like pointing their attention inwards and just reasoning that way, which I think is going to run into problems. Like I said,
Yeah, that was my strategy
What are the,
too.
what
I
are,
was going
what
to.
are the because I'm kind of following what you're saying, but like what are the problems?
Yeah, the problem is then now you wouldn't be reasoning about the norm. If you're saying the norm is just going to be reduced to your desires, there's nothing about the norm that makes it different from like any first order desire that you have. So like
So
you'd
what?
just be reasoning about, well, if you're just introspecting your own desires when you're making like an evaluative claim, then you're just gonna like undermine agency because you wouldn't be able to be like
What do you mean
someone who
by
can like have
undermine
desires that are
agency?
the
volitional.
claim,
What does that mean?
but the idea that I have no like externally derived basis for a normative value that is something like I ought to believe in true things or I should have justified true beliefs. Just because I can't like nest that in something that's external to myself doesn't mean that doesn't change the evaluation of whether things are justified true beliefs or not. Right?
No,
Like
I think it gives more reason to believe that that your view is gonna like entail some form of determinism, which is just gonna like
maybe.
bring
I
like
don't
the epistemic
necessarily
control.
write off determinism.
What is wrong with determinism?
So we can like I just wanted to make sure we're okay with accepting like that first like move because it's just trying
I
to
would
show
say
that
I'm
like
very
whenever
much
you are,
determinist.
it's gonna
Yeah,
tie
it
together.
sounds like you're using a lot of like academic language to basically say that like, okay, like according to your worldview, you have normative values, but those normative values, you can't appeal to anything external to yourself to justify those normative values.
Yeah, you'd be an anti-realist about moral norms, epistemic norms, rational norms. Any
Sure. What's
I
the
am.
problem?
any like sort of area that we can make evaluative claims in. So like you'd be saying that like if you have evidence to believe that P is true, you wouldn't think that you have a rational obligation to believe that it's rational to believe that P is true, right?
Yeah, but you could
Wait, say
be
that again.
anti-realist, but
Wait,
you.
no, hold, stop,
So do you-
stop, no, stop,
yeah.
say that again.
So do you think if you have evidence to believe P is true, that you have like a rational obligation to believe that it's rational to believe that P is true?
According to my normative value that I ought to believe in true things, yes.
Well, remember, it's a rational obligation, so it would be like sort of like a desire about desires, if that makes sense. So these would be typically called volition. So you could have like, for example, like you could have a desire to like go to the gym. You could also have a desire to like stay home and not go to the gym. Those are going to be conflicting desires, and one of them is going to be fulfilled. You can't fulfill both of them at the same time, right? And so whatever one you're fulfilling, the idea is that there's like a second order desire which is sort of like a volition. It moves that desire into action and makes you act on it. So that's the idea, is that like these desires are desires like about desires. So I'm just wanting to know if you think that in the proposition I gave you, if you think a rational obligation is going to be like a second order desire to believe that it's rational, or to have the desire to believe that it's rational. Like do you think that that's
Second order
volition
to
or no?
what? Second order to what?
So you have a desire to be rational, right?
Uh-huh.
So if you have evidence to believe that P is true, and like evidence is gonna be the evidence here is gonna constitute like the necessary and sufficient conditions for rationality, then you would have a rational obligation to believe that it's rational to believe that P is true, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so then you'd be a realist about epistemic norms. That rational obligation is going to be a volition. It's something that's out of your control. It's moving your desire into action, right? So like
okay.
you wouldn't
I
be able to
don't-
control that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all fine. I don't really know what this has to do with the topic, to be honest.
Yeah,
Like,
the point is
we-
that
I
like
don't
if
think
you're a realist,
I really don't think that we need to like dip below the layer of normativity in order to like have this conversation. I don't think we need to like appeal to some sort of like meta ethical framework of like where do you derive normativity. I don't think that any of that's like super relevant. Honestly, I don't think like any discussions about like meta ethics really are like valuable at all, to be honest. I think it's all
it is
bullshit.
valuable because it's establishing, the argument is establishing a robust realist thesis. So you just agreed with like the epistemic realist thesis. So you'd be a realist about epistemic norms. So the point of the argument I'm trying to like give you is that if you're going to reject like all other forms of normativity but accept one, there's going to be something like when you give an account of like the metaphysical nature of like each category, right? Like the epistemic norms, the moral norms, the aesthetic norms, like they're all going to have the same metaphysical profile. So much so that it's going to be like very hard for you to give an account as to how you're able to distinguish them. So I don't
really think anybody can make any strong statements about meta ethics. I think that meta ethics is just, there's a reason people have been arguing for like thousands and thousands of years and people don't agree, and that's because there's nothing there.
I'm an
It's all
anti-realist.
Just be clear, you just agreed with
and you
that.
act on
I
that
don't know if
certain
you're
way,
following,
and
right?
like that's pretty
You're
much
just
it.
waiting
Like,
to respond. You're not listening to me.
I'm an anti-realist.
So that's
well,
fine. But like, I just want to be
this
clear,
is,
just
this
so
is
like,
all
because you
like
won't
high.
continue.
This is all like
You accepted
super
like the
fucking
epistemic realist
painful,
thesis,
like,
right? So you
No.
accepted the epistemic realist thesis, but you have no reason to like reject the moral realist
No,
thesis.
you like
right?
learn some academic
haven't
terms,
given
and
an
now you're
account to
saying
how
it's like
these
you jump
different
into
norms.
Discord and you try to like talk over people with
Yeah,
academic language.
you're
But, like
not.
some
You
of us
don't
actually
understand. I can
it,
understand
and this
it.
is
You're
all
just waiting.
nonsense.
It's not
Yeah,
nonsense. You
you're
just don't
you're
understand
just
it.
waiting to speak. You're not responding.
No,
to what I'm
I do
saying. That's
understand
why I
it. This is
interrupted.
just like fucking like it's nonsense.
You're not tracking. That's okay.
Yeah,
Like,
the reason was he just showed you where my trap was. He showed you where my trap was, and you don't understand.
No,
When he's yelling you, watch out.
What?
But because pretty much I was going to go use the reductor ad absurdum and just make the atheists to say, well, I just don't like the idea of having gods. That was the strategy.
What?
No, that's not true.
Yeah,
it's not that I don't like the idea. If anything, I dislike the idea of accepting a god because of the fact that I don't believe that it's reasonable to believe in one.
They say there are no reasons to believe in God,
like
but then
the
I
scope
come
of
in here
this
giving them like a
conversation is
rational
like we
argument,
just
right?
we
So like
establish.
they start off by saying, "Oh, we don't have a good reason to like believe in God." I give them a rational argument, right? And like they're just like not able to track, or they just like don't care enough to like.
No, it's
actually
not a
engage with
rational
it.
argument. So like
It's not a rational.
How is that a rational argument?
For the scope of a conversation like this, like what you do is you start with the normative value of like we ought to have justified true beliefs, and then you go
I never
upward
said
from
that.
there. You don't go below that level. That's just nonsense.
Yeah, what's the argument that you shouldn't do that? Because you're making
Because
a
it's
normative
just
argument, right?
it's just stupid bullshit. That's the argument.
Oh,
it's just
you
dumb.
shouldn't do that because it's out of accord with what?
Yeah, really.
Because it's just stupid bullshit.
When
Okay,
you're saying you shouldn't do that, I think that's going to make you ought not do it, right?
The
So when
problem
you're
for
saying like
me
you
with
shouldn't do that, that's just going to be relative to you, right? That's like a
the
standard. that you're
problem for
creating in your
me
mind.
with
No, this is just
fundamentally trying to undermine the problem for me with trying to fundamentally undermine the concept that one should have justification for their beliefs is that it kind of seems like a waste of time. Like, is that not
it is a
kind
waste
of
of
obvious
time.
to everybody?
It's just
that's the only problem for me.
That
It seems like a waste of time.
Yeah,
if
it's
you're
just
rejecting a
sophistry.
realist
That's all it
thesis
is.
about like
This guy's
moral
just a
normativity,
sophist.
like any sort of normativity, right, that we can point to. If you're rejecting a realist thesis about that, which you obviously do, if you're rejecting moral normativity but you're accepting epistemic normativity, then you need to give an account as to how these two different types of norms are different, right? Because I'm saying
I
they
just
have the
don't.
same
I don't know
nature.
what exactly they are. You'd have to define them. That's what I was talking about
Yeah,
before.
so moral norms are going to be like moral judgments. So if you say like X is wrong, right, that's going to express a moral judgment. If you want to put it more formally, yeah, the predicate concept is going to conceptually entail like an analytic predicate rather than a synthetic one. If you wanted to be like more formal about the nature of these judgments.
So what do you mean by
those
analytic
judgments put
predicate
into, like,
versus a, what did you say, formal?
What?
You said
Yeah,
there was an
analytic and
analytic
synthetic
versus a
predicate.
formal, synthetic. Okay. Could you define what those
Yeah,
are?
these are just conceptual attributes of the proposition. Because when we're talking about moral norms, we're talking about propositions, like inferential relations between propositions. So that's the point.
Inferential relations between propositions. Is that what a synthetic predicate is, or
No,
is that
that's
what
what
an analytic
predicates
predicate?
are. Yeah, because
That's
I
an
don't think moral
analytic predicate.
propositions are descriptive. Yeah, of course they're normative propositions. They're evaluative. So the point is like, yeah, if you're rejecting like these propositions being truth apt or true, like either one, then
What is
like
truth
you have
apt?
to. That means that they're propositional, like they're capable of being true.
Okay.
So like there's a big debate about what propositions are, but there's not like one agreed on characterization of what a proposition
All right.
is.
Well, I think we established in the last conversation that I was a cognitivist. I believe that we established that with my relation to understanding propositions. Correct? Is that an accurate?
Yeah, but you were like leaning more towards error theory. So you think that all moral propositions are false, even though they're truth apt. They're false, right?
No, I didn't say they were false. I think I said that I said that they were not true.
Yeah. Okay. So that means that they're all. So do you accept the law of excluded middle?
I do.
Okay. So if all moral statements are propositional, that means that they only have two values, right? Like true or false.
No, I don't believe that true and false is a true dichotomy. I think that true and not true is a true dichotomy.
Okay, yeah. So you reject the law of excluded middle then, right?
No, I don't reject the law of excluded middle, because the law of excluded middle states that the law of excluded middle states that for any given proposition, either it or its negation is true. It doesn't say anything about anything being false.
That's what it means. That's what it means for the proposition to be false. That the negation is true.
No, if the negation is true, then it means that the proposition is not true.
Yes, and that would entail that the negation is true. If the proposition is not true, then it's not the case that it's not the case that the negation is true.
Problem with this
it's a double negation.
I don't believe that false necessarily means not true. I don't believe that they're necessarily equal in all cases, because, for example, when we talk about I think I mentioned this, when we talk about non-cognitive statements, then you can have a sense where something can be both true you can have something that doesn't necessarily have a false value. That is, you can have something that can be not true, but it can also be not false. And so that's why I don't think that they're a true dichotomy, because when you make non-cognitive statements, then you have situations where something may be not true and not false simultaneously.
Yeah. So do you think that, like, if I say, like, if it's not the case that it's not the case that P, then it is the case that P, is that going to be like a valid inference?
I agree with that. Yeah.
So the inference there, like when you try to map that out in truth tables, you can like run into issues where you say like P is true, not P is false, and then not P is false.
I don't like the usage of false in that way. I think that it winds up causing issues.
We're talking about propositional logic. We can plug these into a truth table, and they'll evaluate as false when we have the double negation elimination. Unless you're talking about some other logic that, well, if you were, then you'd be using like a probabilistic logic, which is different.
No, I'm not using probabilistic logic.
This is the problem with these kind of conversations. We're so far away from
exactly.
The
We are, and I don't like it either.
Useless.
I'm gonna wrap it up real fast with an explanation of why I don't think that false and true should be considered a true dichotomy. Suppose the proposition, which you could argue that this isn't a proposition, but I think we would call this a non-cognitive statement, I believe is what you told me just the last time we spoke. I don't know if I fully understood all the definitions. Suppose we have a statement, basketball. That statement is not true. It also is not false. It doesn't have a truth value. It doesn't have a falseness value. And so because of that, I therefore believe that true and false is not a true dichotomy. It's true and not true, and false and not false that are the true dichotomy because of that property of the way that
let me blow your mind real quick. When you say it's not a true dichotomy, that like a proposition evaluates either true or false, that presumably is a true statement, right?
I'm done talking about it. I don't really care.
You see, you're going to be exemplifying performative contradiction.
I agree with what was said previously about getting off topic.
Yeah.
No, this is on topic for me.
I just don't believe that this is on topic. It doesn't really matter whether true and false. Just for the sake of argument, we can say that I believe that true and false are a true dichotomy.
Well, for the sake of you exemplifying a performative contradiction.
Yeah.
When you affirm that as being true, you're going to be contradicting yourself.
Exactly.
So no, not because for the sake of the argument. No, it's because you have a contradiction, so you do need to address it.
Yep.
Great. Cool. What's the reason to believe in God?
I've given you many inferences. So if God is, we'll characterize God as like necessary existence. That'll be like the necessary condition. So like entail nodal collapse, right? So just tautological saying he's necessary.
If you claim that God is necessary existence, that's what I'm saying. I don't like that definition.
I reject that definition.
Necessity is necessary. Yeah, so his necessity is necessary is tautological. So I would accept a modal collapse.
I reject the God of cosmic theism.
But you could say that anything exists by that definition. You could just define it
you're
as
not letting
necessary.
me give the. Here's the thing. I'm giving you a formal definition. This is how arguments work. I'm giving you a formal definition, right? And then I'm going to give you an inference. And if the conclusion is going to be entailed, right?
I don't care though to have the conversation because I think that your definition
you can reject the
is
definition.
not what a God
because
by
we
my
can plug in
and your definition is really bad.
Why were you using all these complex
believe
terms? I can't understand a single thing that you're saying.
Exists.
So the reason it's important to stick to logic here, right, is because I can give the argument, the inference that I'm going to give, and each premise is going to have to be true for the conclusion to be like secured. The problem is that the term God, right, can just be substituted for X, right? And I'm just going to say that X is going to be referring to like a necessity operator under S5 modal logic, okay?
I'm sorry.
That's what I mean by God is necessary.
I
I just mean the operator is necessary. I just mean that the operator is necessary. That's all. So I can give the argument if you want. So if the universe is emergent, it's emergent from a mind. The universe is emergent, therefore it's emergent.
What do you mean by emergent?
So wait, just to be clear, is that a valid
From a
argument?
mind? What does that? Why?
Is that a valid argument?
What do you mean by emergent? Yes, it is valid, but what do you mean by emergent?
Okay. Emergent is just going to be that there's gonna it's going to be a secondary property. So in the same way that
What does
there's
that
gonna
mean to be a secondary property?
Yeah, in the same way that there's going to be like a lot of Christians who are Trinitarians, they'll say like God has like an essence and then distinct energies. That's what it means.
I
It's
don't
like
even
the
know what
essence
that
is
means.
shared
What
by
is
the-
an essence and a distinct?
Yeah,
energy?
the emergent. So the emergence is just going to be referring to the valence, which is going to be like a second order property of the essence of the thing. So the essence of the thing is going to be its identity.
So listen,
Yes, the valence
I
is
didn't
gonna be
ever
the qualitative
complete
aspect of
chemistry
the
class,
property.
right? I'm not as familiar with the terms of valence that they talked about in chemistry.
I can understand.
So
I
what is
understand
that?
It's not chemistry. What are you talking about? I'm saying it's going to be a secondary property.
Yeah. So
When
would
I'm
you
talking
say
about
all these
Voldemort's a secondary property
philosophy
of the
terms are
universe?
super confusing.
It's going to be a secondary problem. I'm talking about metaphysical properties.
Okay, so what do you mean by a secondary?
gonna be a
Could you explain to me what a secondary property is?
Yeah, it's going to be a property that has a qualitative nature.
Qualitative.
So
What do you mean by
the attribute of
qualitative?
the property is going to be analytic. What it means
Can you
to
just give an
have a
example?
qualitative nature is that it's analytically true.
It's analytic. What does it mean to be analytically true as opposed to some
That
other
means
kind
it's
of
true in virtue of its meaning.
What does it mean in virtue of its meaning? What,
So that means it's going to be synonymous. So that means each term is going
synonymous
to be
with what?
with itself. It's
Yeah.
going to be an identity claim.
Yeah.
Okay, so make the claim again. Now that I have all these definitions.
Yeah. So the claim is that emergence is going to be a secondary property.
Okay, I believe that I still don't fully understand. So a secondary property.
I just explained that to you.
Yeah, go over it again.
A secondary property is going to be a non-natural property, right?
Like
And it would have-
non-natural. What is
It would have a
non-natural?
qualitative essence. Yeah, what does
Yeah,
it mean
like
to be non-natural?
example, an example would be if I have like a pot of soil and I plant a flower in it. If the flower grows, the flower becomes like an emergent property of the soil in the pot.
Yeah, but there's a
So you're saying the
further
universe
property.
came
Hang on.
from something?
There's like a further
he's
property.
just
Okay.
like I don't know why he can't just talk like a person.
Yeah.
Because any
all
properties
these
that you're referring
philosophy
to, right?
terms are
Just talk like a
any
person, dude. Just
properties
talk
that
like
you're
a human.
referring to that are descriptive, any properties you're referring to that are descriptive that describe the thing and like the emergence that you're seeing, those are going to be first order properties because you can measure them, right? I'm talking about second order properties that exist like beyond space time.
There's no
That's what I'm
properties
saying.
that exist beyond
What does
space
it mean
time.
to exist? What does it mean to exist beyond space time? Like, can you give an example?
Abstract. It exists in the abstract.
So, like for
Okay.
example, would you say a number? Does that count as?
Yeah, numbers
something?
exist in the abstract as well.
Okay, so something I guess effectively conceptual, right? Is that what you're going for?
No, it's not conceptual. No.
Well, what does it mean to exist in the
Abstract
abstract?
objects exist outside of concepts.
What does that mean?
So I
Do
think
they?
that abstract objects exist in like a realm of their own. So they exist
Oh,
of their own
dualist.
accord. They're not caused by anything else.
Yeah, but
Yeah, they're
dualist.
not
dude.
caused
So
by
they.
anything else.
What does it mean by they exist in a realm?
There's just the abstract, which is like a different realm from
They have their
space and
own
time,
universe.
from the physical world.
How do you know that exists? How do you know that there's some
Because
abstract? I
these
guess
would
that's
be
a
like
fundamental.
transcendental conditions. They're necessary conditions for our mind's ability to experience. It's like we can't experience without them.
Why? How do you know?
Because every aspect of our knowledge is going to be formed conceptually and inferentially.
Does the
In
number
order to have
3
concepts, there
exist?
needs to be.
Does the number 3 exist regardless of the existence of 3 things?
Yes, exists in the abstract.
How? Why?
So the
Because you
abstract,
say
it's sort of
so,
going to be like
or-
a category error to ask why, right? Because the abstract is just going to be like non-inferentially justified. So like everything that's related in the abstract is not going to be like able to be. You're not going to be able to like make an inference to it to understand it.
I still don't follow the reasoning why some abstract, you call it a realm, must exist. What does that even mean? I struggle to even grasp that concept of something existing that is not in space.
Yeah, if it exists in the abstract, that means it's just a form. It's a form by which any concepts of it can emerge. So you have like a form of everything in the abstract, which means they exist of their own accord. They exist non-spatially, non-temporally. Don't exist in space and time. They don't. They exist outside of causality. They're not like cause. They're eternal, and they give rise to every single concept that we have, which is necessary for us to have knowledge. So these are the necessary.
But again, you're specifically saying that these entities, or what do you what call you, whatever you want to call them,
they're forms. They're just forms.
These forms exist.
Yes.
As in some other realm. Now, by other realm, what do you mean by other realm? Like an alternate universe or an alternate? What do you mean by realm?
When I say no, I'm not using the term realm anymore because this sort of threw you off. What I'm saying is that they exist outside of space and time. They exist outside of causality. They're eternal. So if you want to call that like another realm, you can however you want to conceive of that. That's how they exist.
They exist outside
and they're
of
just
causality.
forms. Yes.
Now, what do you mean by
They don't
causality?
exist. Yeah, because you.
Yeah, they're not. They're
The
causally
issue is
isolated.
that the issue is that we have this single word called exist, and we use that word to describe things materially existing, like in reality, we can interface
That's
with
not
them.
true.
But you mean that's not true? That's not how you use the word.
Yeah,
exist?
so like obviously we call the things that exist in material reality. We say that they exist, but the problem is that like other like theories say that like mental states, for example, exist and they're not caused by the physical. They exist outside the physical, or they're just irreduced to the physical. They
Yeah,
can't
but
be reduced
something
to
is
the
going to
physical.
tell me. Something tells me that your argument is it fundamentally relies on conflating these two usages of the same word.
Right, just
How?
because
It
there
would
are
both
multiple
exist.
usages doesn't
They
mean
would
that
both
that
exist.
some
You're
other usage
appealing to
doesn't
this
exist.
realm. You're appealing because I can see where this is going. Like you're appealing to this realm of abstract forms, and you're saying that this exists, and it necessarily exists in order for us to basically be able to function and think about things, right? And then you're going to go through several more steps, and then you're going to make the claim that like this is what God is, right? God is like this abstract form that necessitates.
And you're
everything.
using the term existence to just refer to physical because you're not accepting that there is anything other than the physical realm. But the problem is that I'm not saying that we can mentally represent existence. I'm not making a claim to have like access to the conceptual nature. Well, I'm not making a claim to have access to the conceptual nature of this abstract, that I'm talking about, or the mind, or anything like that. I'm like the external will. I'm just saying that existence is going to be like a predicate that we apply to different propositions. Now, if you're saying that
Yes, that's the
existence is
argument.
just going to refer to the physical, then that means you are able
It's
to
a
have
served argument.
conceptual access to the nature of existence representing the physical.
And
which
you know
is
what?
gonna
The
be, like,
atheist
really,
talk shows use the
hard
same
to
argument.
show. It's going to be really hard account to give because you're basically saying you can mentally represent existence and give like an
Dualism
inference,
rests
a
on shaky
conceptual
ground
inference
too.
that's referring to the properties of existence, which I don't think you can do.
Yeah, well, no,
So
but
I think
because like
existence
when
is
I'm
just a
when I'm
predicate.
arguing with like theists and stuff, when they say God exists, what I am concerned with is is like the proposition that there is an agent or entity that material like either exists in a material way or exists in a way that it interfaces with the material world, such that it can change the outcomes within the material world or something like that. And if your definition of God isn't that, then I just don't care about it. It just doesn't mean anything.
Oh, you just don't care. Well, no, my definition and the argument I gave, just to be clear, was saying that the universe is emergent from the mind. So that means that it exists, but not without relation to the will, right? Like the God didn't create it. It is the God. It's identical to the God that I'm arguing for because the universe is necessary. And I would say it's like a process going
So
on.
your
It's not
definition
like
of
a
God is
static thing.
effectively the universe itself. Would you say that if they're identical, the universe itself would be God by your definition?
The background,
Like I'm saying that it's identical to God, but that's different from saying that it's like analytically identical to God. So it's not the case that like what I mean by universe is God, right? That would mean that they're analytically identical. I'm just saying that there's going to be an identity relation because God is related to the concepts within himself, which is going to be the universe. The universe is entirely just conceptual in nature. There's nothing physical in my view. So it's just going to be a relation between the essence underlying all of that and those concepts. And it's going to be an identity relation. But that doesn't mean that when I say universe, I just mean God. That's a different identity claim.
I liked the other conversation more.
But it's like, but you're saying that like basically an analogy would be that like thoughts or ideas are to our minds as universe is to God's mind.
Sort of, but I think that our thoughts and ideas come externally from our minds, so I think it's different. Like I think they exist external to our minds. We're like accessing
They
thoughts.
exist. So you subscribe to the model that the brain is like an antenna.
I don't really
Picking
make
up.
a claim to the nature of like how the causal relation works. So I don't know how the brain causes the mind, and I don't know how the mind causes the brain. I just say that there is a causal relation.
You might say that the mind
and
is an emergent property of the brain.
No.
yeah, I would disagree with that because there's going to be a conceptual problem underlying that, which a lot of
Well, it seems like that's the case because
contemporary-
it seems like when we fuck with the brain, we fuck with the mind like in a really intimate way.
Yeah, but that's like a really entry level, like medieval way of thinking, right? Because even though we would grant, of
Oh, that's
course,
just what
like
we
if
observed.
the brain gets injured, right, that's going to affect your mind, of course. But no one's denying there's a causal relation between the mind and the brain. It just doesn't follow from there being a causal relation that they're identical, right? Those are two different types of claims. So you
I
need
don't
to
think he
like
said
give an
they're-
account as to
they're
how they're identical.
I mean, could you injure the brain by injuring the mind?
I think they're identical. Like to use your own terminology from later, I think that the mind is like it seems to be the case that the mind, what we call the mind, is an emergent property of the brain.
Yeah, I don't think that seems to be the case at all. There's like a really big contemporary problem with theories of mind surrounding
to be like
earlier conceptual problems underlying any model of the mind, including the physicalist model.
Exactly.
So the problem that's targeted towards the physicalist model mainly is that they aren't able to give an account as to how like phenomenal concepts, these are just sort of concepts that we have that have some aboutness. They're about something. They're typically thought of as being private. So you can't represent them publicly. They're sort of like inside your own mental realm. And so the problem is like these sort of private concepts can't really be publicly represented, but brain states can be publicly represented and we can describe them. So how is there going to be any interaction between the two in terms of like their identity? How are they going to be identical? How are they going to co-refer? Of course, there's going to be like a causal relation, but that doesn't mean that they're going to be identical. That's the claim that you're making when you say it's an emergent property, right?
No, I think that because like it's not like a hard and fast, I know this absolutely, but like based off of what we know and based off of what we observe, that's what seems most likely to be the case because it seems to be the case that like there is like a material underlying physical basis for like cognition, and when we make alterations to that, either chemical or physical, or we damage the brain in certain ways, we stimulate the brain in certain ways, that fundamentally transfers to some change in the mind and some change in what is fundamentally you. Like I can change who you are by
So is the mind
changing your
like
brain.
like self-awareness, like consciousness? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, but there's a difference between like you can either say like what you mean by like the mental is like the physical. They just mean the same thing. Or you could be saying that like the mental and the physical, they're not like conceptually the same thing. They don't mean the same thing, but there's something in the world that makes them the same thing. But it's not like the semantics that does. Which one do
The reason
you?
why I think the way I do is because it seems like I can make very direct and specific physical alterations to your physical brain, and
That's not. Can you address what I just asked you?
That translates over into significant changes in your mind. But if you change your mind, if you start thinking about different things, that doesn't that's not reversible. That doesn't go back to physically alter and damage your brain by just thinking things.
Yeah, so I don't know if you just like intentionally weren't listening, right? But like I asked you like which side of the physicalist camp you land on because there's two different views that are usually taken. But that's fine. I can still bring up the problem. I hope you address the problem. The problem is going to have to do with reference fixing. So when we say under physicalism that there are these like correlates here and we have strong empirical evidence that suggests that the mind is emergent from the brain, it's still not explaining what makes them co-refer. Unless you just say your sense of mental is just referring to the physical, strictly speaking. But then there's going to be like a further semantic issue. So the point is
Doesn't have
just
to explain
like
everything to be the best explanation.
it's not going to be the best explanation if you can't account for more in the explanation than the opposite view, right? So the point is that if representations, as we understand them, are even partly intentional, like they're about something, right? They have some aboutness relation. Then physical states, like natural states, they aren't about things, right? They're just objects in the causal history of the universe. They're public. But as we're understanding like these phenomenal concepts, they're typically thought of as being about certain modes of representation. And so the argument is like, if we understand the phenomenal concepts as being private, but the physical properties are public, then how are they going to be co-referential? It's going to be an explanatory gap that you have not bridged.
I mean, like the best we can go off is like self-reporting, right? Like we look at different brain states, we see what people say about like what they're feeling, what they're thinking. We like have a massive cohort where we're like aggregating all of those qualitative descriptions, and then we can like hopefully make some sort of statement about like what we're observing in the aggregate based off of that, right? But that's like no matter what your position is on that, like that doesn't change the fact that that's all we have to go by. Like that's just in general, that's true.
Yeah, so just to be clear, the claim again on the table is that thoughts are going to be like a product of the brain, right? So to say that like thoughts are just mapping on to signals in the brain, that's using the same epistemic model that I'm critiquing. You're not addressing it. You're using the same model from which I'm bringing up the critique in the first place, and then you're reasserting that claim by saying, oh, well, dualism fails to meet my epistemic standards of justification because it's not in the purview of natural sciences. Therefore, I think dualism is unjustified. But the question is, like, why build the model that you're using off of this, like, positivist view? Do you think that, like, all claims that are justified are empirically justified? You don't think that there is any type of, like, a priori reasoning that exists? That's what I'm trying to, like, pin you on.
Yeah, I don't really care about any of that. I'm just talking about, like, what seems to be the case when we, like, alter physically the brain, that has, like, profound impacts on the mind. So, like, tentatively, it seems like the best explanation is that the mind seems to be like an emergent property of the brain. That's it. That's as deep as I go with it.
I've responded with different critiques. You've repeated the same thing 5 times in a row. So I'll repeat the same standard response I gave you, right? Just because there's a causal relation, you didn't even respond to this. Just because there's a causal relation between the two doesn't mean that they're identical. That actually doesn't follow. So can you demonstrate
they're identical? I'm saying one is an emergent
so they're not
property of the
identical.
other.
Wait. So the
one
mind
is
has
the
a
emergent
different
property of the
ontological.
other.
Yeah. So one is a property of the other, but they're not identical. So one is dependent on the other.
Yes.
Okay, and you think that mental states can be private, right? They can't be represented.
I have no idea whether
you have
like,
no idea. So
yeah,
do you
like,
know the
I don't know if that's true
phenomenal...
I don't know if that's true in theory. I don't know if that's like true in the abstract. It's like it's true in practice now. I'm not sure if that's like
so when you
true
say like I don't
generally.
know if that's true in the abstract. When you say I don't know if that's true in the abstract,
or generally true. I don't know if that's generally true.
Do you have a concept about that? Do you have a concept about that?
No, I'm just saying I don't know whether or not that.
When you say I want you to think about what I'm asking you. When you utter the statement, I don't know if that's true in the abstract, do you have a concept about what you're uttering there?
Do I have a concept of what I'm uttering? What I'm uttering is that I don't know if I can if I can
that's not what I'm asking you. That's the second dodge in a row. So when you utter I don't know if it's true in the abstract, do you have a concept about what you're uttering?
Yeah, what I'm saying is that I don't know how I could evaluate whether or not that's generally true or whether that's just practically true.
Okay, that's not what I'm asking you. I'm asking when you say you don't know how you could evaluate whether it's true or not.
Talk like a normal person and maybe I can understand you.
Yeah. So again, do you have a concept about what you're saying right now? That's what I'm asking you.
Concept? What do you mean by that?
Do you have a concept about what you're saying? Do you have a thought
you
about what
repeating
you're
it doesn't make it make more sense.
Well, I'm sorry that you don't know what a concept is. Do you have a thought about what you're saying?
Yeah, the concept is I'm thinking about like.
Okay, so so you do have a concept, right? And you do know what a concept is. So just to be clear, you have a concept about what you're saying. That is the criteria for a phenomenal concept, a private concept, which you just rejected. It's a concept that is about something, right?
Okay.
So that's going to be a private concept. You can't represent the way that you're experiencing that concept to me. You can tell me about the concept, but I can't get in your head and I can't access your thoughts, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Right. So
Okay.
those are private concepts, those experiences that
So
are
you're
private to
basically
you.
talking about like qualia, right?
Yes. So the point is that you're saying those experiences are emergent from a physical thing, which is the brain. And that would entail that those experiences are co-referential with the physical thing. They refer to the physical thing, right? Because they're dependent on it. They're dependent on the brain. They can't exist if the brain doesn't exist, right?
I mean, if you can give me an example of like cognition existing outside of a brain, then like that would be what would refute that, I guess. But
Yeah. So
otherwise,
they're so these private concepts, right? The quality experiences, they're going to be dependent on the brain. So they're going to be referring to the brain, right?
it seems to be the case.
Yeah. So the problem is that you haven't given an account as to how they can co-refer. So I don't know if you know anything about philosophy of language, right? So there's going to be a difference when you say, like when we're talking about reference fixing. I'm talking about like the sense, which is the intention behind the terms that we're using in the extension. So when you say like, oh, there are going to be these correlates here, and we have strong empirical evidence that suggests physicalism, there's going to be like correlation. They're going to refer to the physical properties. It's still not explaining like what makes them co-refer, unless you just say like your sense of mental is referring to the physical, strictly speaking. But then, like I said, there's going to be a semantic problem with that. So do you see the issue?
Oh, I see it.
No.
Yeah, because
Yeah. So just to be clear, the guy who's talking about language problems, this is like essential to contemporary philosophy, right? Like language is how we understand like ontology and modality and metaphysics. Any like sort of like realm of philosophy you can think of, we can only understand it through like advancements in language, right? So linguistic theories are going to be just as theoretically virtuous as like ontological theories, right? Because you have to have a theory of linguistics to have an ontological theory.
Yeah.
No? Okay.
Yes, I said yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Give me an example of like a claim you can make to some ontology without a linguistic theory embedding it.
Well, you could point to something, but I'm not sure. That's not clear though. Yeah, bootstrap more language for them so you can contextualize what that means. So yeah, you need more language than pointing and gesturing before we can communicate.
Hank, shut up. Hank, shut the fuck up. Go.
Yeah, this guy is like, Hank, can you keep speaking? This guy's retarded. He
I
said
can
be able
see
to
that.
access. He said he'd be able to access this person's mind and like know what their experiences are. Oh, okay,
This
then how would
dude
you know they have
fucking
a
learned like a few
hold on,
philosophy terms
retard. How
on
would you know for
Wikipedia,
certain?
and he came in here
How
and
would
he's
you know
like,
for certain that they have a working ontology, retard? Can you answer that? Oh, okay, you can't know for certain. Do you know that for certain? Oh, okay, so that's a performative contradiction, retard. Good job. You know for certain that you can't know
Okay,
for
calm
certain.
down.
There you go,
Calm
brain dead retard. You know for certain that you can't know for certain, retard. That's a performative contradiction.
Yep.
Yeah, so you know for certain that you can't know something for certain, right? You're fucking brain dead. That's a performative contradiction.
Yeah, that was how he set things up when I was debate the atheist. I was going to get him into a performative contradiction. That was the whole goal.
I've done this like 3 times to different people in this conversation because atheists like this are just so low tier. Like they don't know how to like think.
bro, you learned like 10 philosophy terms on Wikipedia, and now your game is to basically come into the fucking server and then just spout
Bro,
it and
you
then try to like
got blown the
inundate
fuck
your
out.
opponent into a bunch of
you got blown out.
Like, face
until they
down,
give
ass
up.
up, like
because nobody can fucking
actually
talk
giving
to
you
you
back
because you don't
shots.
talk
Like,
like a person.
you're my
You're like a
child.
fucking autistic
I was
fucking
giving you
robot.
back shots at the debate.
Yeah,
Like,
he
you're
was.
holding my pocket right now.
Fucking kill yourself.
No, you.
How about you debate me, you Muslim? What's the debate proposition? Do you believe in God? All right, you're a sand monkey. That's even worse. So do you believe in God? Do you believe in God? Do you believe in God? Wait, so you withhold judgment on the proposition that God exists, right? Okay, are you aware that you're withholding judgment? No, you're not aware that you're withholding judgment?
Holy shit.
Wait, so hold on, just be clear.
Okay,
Wait,
Raina,
when
bro,
you're
you gotta
withholding
be more
judgment, are
clear
you
when you're
thinking
talking,
about
bro.
it,
No one
retard?
can
When
understand
you're
what you mean.
withholding judgment about the proposition, are you thinking about it, retard?
Discord being Discord.
You notice how he's fucking stuttering like a little bitch?
Yep.
He came in here so hot. And now he's stuttering like a little bitch.
Meltdown.
That's
Dude, shut
that's funny, bro.
Meltdown.
Yeah. So just to be clear, I want you to address what I asked you, right? Instead of being like a little pussy. So can you address it? Well, not. Well, like, was that after you stuttered? You're like, yeah, okay. Yeah,
Dude,
okay.
actually fucking kill yourself.
So it's
Holy
not the
shit.
case that you're thinking. Yeah, just to be clear, it's not the case that you're thinking when you're withholding judgment about the proposition. Oh, you are thinking? Yeah. Do you take that thought to be conceptual or no? Yeah, it's conceptual. Does that entail that it's inferential in your view or no? No, it's not the problem of inference, brain dead retard. Just answer the question. It's not the script. You got your back blown out, and now you're upset. You're upset because I was blowing your back out, buddy.
Are you in the text chat?
Buddy.
We
So just be clear, like you're saying it is inferential, right? Yeah. So do you take intuitions to be sui generis or no? No. Do you take intuitions to be dispositions? What is your account of intuitions?
Where is it?
Opposite. Wait, hold on. What do you think an intuition is?
Think you're in text chat.
No, it's not a feeling. Ray, do you think desires are feelings?
I don't know what you're talking.
Yeah, no. Like philosophers, like people who actually read philosophy, they talk about intuition a lot, especially in contemporary philosophy. Intuition's like really primary. It's really important to like a lot of areas of discourse. So you're just brain dead retard. You don't actually read stuff. So just to be clear, like when we're talking about an intuition, yeah, hold on, I'm not done. You like sand monkey. Hold on, I don't know why this like sand monkey is like off his chain right now. Like he's a sand monkey, but like he's really demonstrating that he has an MAOA gene deficiency. I think this demonstrates that a lot of these like Arabs, they have like, because I know he's from Saudi Arabia, right? Like I have a lot of friends that are from Saudi in my university, and I can tell. And he's just pretentious because they all are. But I'm asking you a question. When I'm asking you about an intuition, right? Intuitions are just intellectual appearances. Like when you consider like a proposition, like do you know anything about logic? Or... No, like inferences, like famous inferences and stuff like that.
Oh no.
Like, do you know what double negation eliminations are? Now. Or do you just know what double negations are?
No.
Are you like retarded? Can you think about it? So if I say like if not P then P, do you think that like seems true?
Not P then P.
Yeah.
Yes, seems true enough.
Yeah, that's gonna be like an intuition. So it's gonna be like when you have the proposition in your head, and it like seems true to you when you think about it.
Instinctually, or what? Instinctively or not? Is that what you're trying to get at?
You can call it an instinct. The point is like you're only gonna have intuitions like this when you're thinking about a proposition. You're not just gonna have these intuitions.
Fair enough.
Like, yeah, but the point is that they're gonna be like a very distinct kind of experience when you actually think about. So you can have the experience of having like intuiting something, like intuiting that the proposition is true, and then you can think back on the intuition that you had. And when you do that, you're almost giving like a conceptual analysis of the intuition. And so what I'm saying is like because you're introspecting, you're directing your attention inwards towards your own intuitions. So when you do that, when you're introspecting your own intuitions, it's pretty clear that they are their own like distinct kind of mental experiences. That's the claim that's being made.
All right. And if we accept this claim, where does it lead?
Well, yeah, the point is just to say that like the intuitions on your account, if you accept that they are going to be like unique kind of mental experiences, then you need to give an account as to whether or not intuitions entail beliefs or if they're like dispositional in nature. Or you can just say whether they entail beliefs or not to make it like a true dichotomy. And then that would like move the inference forward, right? If we put that into like a truth table. because the contradiction, like the double negation of the first premise there, would like if we put it into a truth table, it would equate to like false in all possible worlds.
Okay, it's interesting. What I'm trying to, because I've heard of the truth table already. I do your different flavor of
You know
precept.
logic, right?
I'm not. I don't think it's precept.
No, I mean,
this isn't precept.
Wait, no. Just get to the. Can we just get to the presuppositional part now, or like the Frank
No,
Turek
I was
method,
just going
or
to give you the inference. So if we say like, if God is a necessary precondition for knowledge, then and you
Here we
remember the
are.
nature of the propositions, right, that we were talking about with the double negation. So like any proposition, any case of a person knowing a proposition in a state of affairs where God doesn't exist contains a contradiction. And then it would be the case that God existing in that state of affairs where someone knows a proposition contains a contradiction. So therefore God can't
Okay.
exist.
So why didn't you just say that instead of all the R word stuff?
Yeah. Why didn't
What do
you
you
say
mean?
that?
I was giving you the count of intuitions, right?
No, because inference is something I understand. The double negation is something I didn't understand. You didn't need to mention it because it's not actually part of the precept you're doing here. So why didn't you just say the part that we came for, the precept?
Yeah, it's not a precept, just to be clear. It's a deductive inference that I'm giving you. But like I'm asking you for the nature of intuitions on your view, right? Because you're gonna have like an intuition about each of these propositions in the argument. So I'm just asking if you can give an account for the nature of your intuitions, like without some sort of like robust realist thesis of normativity, which you would be denying if you're rejecting God, because that would just be analytically identical to God's nature.
You believe in God right now?
No, okay. I see what he get. I see what he's getting.
You believe in God?
It is just the basic Frank Turek
Hold on, I'm gonna
argument.
mute
You
this
couldn't just
beaner
say
real
that.
quick. Yeah, what'd you say?
Wait.
Oh, you're
No,
Black
it is
Black
just
Israelite is like a beaner.
Fucking cock.
Okay, look, Reina, I think
Recording
you
it
need
right
to like
now.
calm down, bro,
Recording
because
it to
these
the
are
mod.
literally like 1,000-year-old arguments you're making here that have criticisms.
Oh,
but
this is
whatever.
actually, I just said earlier, it's a very contemporary argument. We're talking about intuitions. It'd be an argument for ethical intuitionism, right? So we would say that, like, in the absence of defeaters, like epistemic defeaters, we would be justified in taking like premise one of the double negation as being true. And unless you have like a defeater, that on its own is going to be justified. And it's going to be like more formally, it's going to be grounded in like a hinge epistemology. So we would say that like those intuitions are just going to be like non-inferential, and they're going to be like tautologies, because all we're going to be giving is like a semantic account of the nature of each of these like norms in the robust realist thesis. But the intuition would act as like a grounding relation for the first premise of each argument that I give. That's why I was asking you about the nature of intuitions, right? Because those are going to act as justification.
I mean, I get what you're talking about. I get what it entails. I get where we're going here. So, so basically, why did he leave? Why did he leave?
Probably lost connection. I had to leave and come back because I couldn't hear you.
He's just toxic, man. Toxic.
No. Because what I was gonna do, I was gonna ask him how it works on the Christian side, and it doesn't make any sense on the Christian
Christian?
side. He knows that.
Well, I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm a Unitarian Universalist, so I do stuff a little weirdly.
What does that mean, by the way?
Yeah.
No, wait. Can I just wait? Libertarian Universalist?
No,
isn't that the one that,
Unitarian
like,
Universalist. You. So I do things a little different than other Christians. I actually come via anti-realism. But I'll tell you what you is.
I mean, at the end of the day, Rainer is he's some jerk. Probably someone has hurt him in. No, he's hurt someone. Someone's hurt him in the past, right? And
He's a
destroyed him
loser.
in an argument. And something happened to him where he feels like knowing all of these terms means something. Like it's not just precept he's doing, because it's clearly precept he's doing.
It literally is.
Look, I said precept the instant I got in here, and I was correct because it's all they can do. Okay, precept is all they can do.
Ooh.
And at the end of the day, when you turn around the precept on them and you ask them how they know anything, they'll say inference, because that's the truth. Okay, the truth is that they only know things due to inference, and the inference is bestowed upon them to God. And when you ask them, how do you know what God says is true? They don't. That's the actual answer. They don't.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't. No. And I think he must have sensed that I was going to ask him that question, because I was about to ask it to him before he cut me off. I was like, oh, let me ask you, and then he cut me off. And then I accepted all, because he didn't expect me to accept everything. What he wants people to do is to disagree with the premise so we can go babbling about it and look smart and call people the R word, you know what I'm saying? That's what he wants. But I accepted every single one of his terms on purpose to see where it would go. And he just left.
Oh, yeah. Well, have a
That's why
different
he
kind
got
of
so
argument.
offended when I asked him if he was a Christian. All I did was ask him if he's a Christian. He just
I knew he was a Christian from the
and left.
millisecond he opened his mouth. I knew he was gonna talk about inference from the millisecond he opened his mouth. I knew. I knew Yeah, he left. I made him leave. I made this guy leave, bro. I'm so happy.
Well,
He's gone.
I
That
don't-
little motherfucker.
I don't
He's
use
a cunt,
precept
bro.
because I
Yeah,
like
that's a
it, but
complete
it's not safe. It's easy to destroy now.
DTS. If you
I
want to
don't-
make
I've
a
seen
precept,
great
if you want to make a
arguments.
precept fast talker, because this guy's clearly right. He's in one of those servers where speaking fast is power. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
That's why he speaks. He speaks faster than Eminem raps. Okay, that's why.
Are
That's
you
why
guys
he's like
talking
this.
Are you guys talking about the guy who
Reyna.
I was told by? Yeah,
Reyna.
Reyna.
Yeah, he's so toxic.
Okay, so anyway, Reyna probably comes from a Christian boxing server, and they call it boxing because it's literally like trying to beat your opponent down with positions or whatever, right? And like
Oh.
you have to speak super fast, and you need to like know all of the terms. And if you don't know a term, you're an idiot. You're an R word. You know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
I've been in these types of servers. That's
I
where
know
he comes
Oh, I'm
from.
gonna
Well,
go there.
I just keep asking him to define the terms. I mean, he seems willing to define them. I just get annoyed with how it bogs down the conversation so much and gets
No,
off topic. It's talking
I
about
kept on. Sorry, I know all of these
uninteresting
things, right? I know all of these things, and I kept on pretending like I don't. Like, who doesn't know what double negation is? Okay, like it's just P, not P. No, what's it? Not P equals P. Everyone knows that, right?
Yes.
But I was seeing where he's taking it. I was seeing where he was taking it, right? When he was talking about all of the truth boxes and the shifts. Everyone, I know this because I've been experienced with people like him. And when I accepted all of his ridiculous claims that he has no justification for, right? He just left.
Yeah.
really.
Yeah. Because he knew
I'm not
it's over.
joking.
Yeah, it's over. He knew, and yeah. And once I asked him if he was a Christian, he got immediately offended and then muted me because he knows where he's going with those. We already know this. We've heard this song and dance before. You get me? It's an old argument. It's not
I've
a good
heard
argument.
this like I'm not
I've
joking. I've
never
heard this
really
like
heard it.
500 plus times.
It's just
bro.
all it is.
I'm
Is
not
just
joking.
contingency argument. No, that's what you're saying, right? The first prime mover or something like that, or whatever. No.
I
No,
believe
no,
that's what he was
it's
going for eventually.
It's presup. It's always presuppositionalism. It's presup.
Well,
He
the
was a
contingency
presup.
argument
Yes,
is pre-sup, yeah.
He was making a presuppositionalist argument. Is that what he ultimately came
yes,
to?
and he admitted it with his
Literally.
own mouth.
Yeah. So I actually
In
want
the
to know what
Really?
Is that the right? I don't think that's the right file I uploaded.
All that babbling.
No,
pre-sup.
he said that it's not a presuppositionalist argument. I explained to him in plain words what it is, and he's like, well, yeah, you could say it's that, but he didn't deny it. I mean, at the end of the day, we don't even need to know. We don't even need to ponder if he's making a presup argument. He clearly is. That's literally all they do.
Okay. So
Wait,
I actually want to know what kind of argument I'm making. I put a PDF file that was my debate notes for the debate. I was supposed to have today, but we had technical difficulties. So you can look at that. I'm just trying to figure out what the hell am I doing? I know it's not precept, so I have a bunch of definitions to start with. The first one is that
You're Unitarian.
The reason why people are so desperate for precept to work, right, and why they are why they learn all these terms and spend all their lives slaving away at breakthroughs in philosophy, is because if you don't do precept, there's no way you can force someone into believing that God is the right ideal.
Yeah,
and then they feel
100%.
wrong about that. You know, then it's about faith. That's too scary.
well, I would say it's I wouldn't say it's faith or what called grace. I would say it's grace. So
yeah, grace, faith, whatever you want to call it.
No, grace
so it's
isn't
something
faith.
that's not really
Saved.
like. It's not
I don't
something
know
that's
what
actually
grace
real.
is.
Pretty much,
Grace?
whether you're saved or not, it's just God's will. You don't really have to. Your performance.
Well,
is irrelevant.
grace. Well, you were talking about Christian grace. Okay.
Yes.
So in Christianity, technically, if you want to get really technical, although there's always different interpretations, but ultimately, grace is mostly a favor from God.
Yeah, exactly.
A favor from God.
Yeah, no, favor from God, which is ironic, CTS, because I mean, you're a smart guy. It's a silly thing for me to tell you this, but like the concept of God being like omnibenevolent and fair and all loving, yet for some reason he shows random people like a lot of grace. Like
Yeah,
some people
but
are just
I
full
would
of
say
God's
everyone's
grace,
saved in the end.
and other people aren't. It's silly as shit.
Yeah,
well, if I don't have God's grace, then obviously I can't accept it. If that's what I need.
That's what I'm saying. Me, like I always make that argument, right?
Yeah.
So whenever I talk, I like to go. So Nidge, I think I go to a Discord and that you describe perfectly to the T, bro. Debate.gg, which is one of the biggest debate Christian Discords, is exactly that. They just go on there. They say a bunch of words. By the way, Christians like don't agree on anything, bro. They argue so much, it's insane. But most of the times I go on there, like I always tell people, like, hey, look, what did I do? If your God is so fair and loving and whatever, Jazz, what did I do to not deserve God's grace? What did I do? Because he hasn't shown himself to me. I haven't never felt anything. I've never felt any connection. If anything, it's the opposite. So like, what did I do? Like, what did I do wrong? And then they normally say, oh, you're skin, you're thick, you're callous to the idea of God. You just don't want to believe. And I was like, all right,
but who designed you?
There you go.
Yeah, who designed you to be callous? Exactly.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
They don't like the design. Right? I was gonna floor that kid before he left. I was so like when we got to the end of the pre-sub, right? I was like, oh, are we gonna actually talk now? But I guess he's too pussy. He's too scared to get floored. Through I don't know passage analysis. I was gonna go through generational punishment. I was gonna go through perfect foreknowledge, forgetting. And I hate this. I recently found a workaround for this excuse. So you know the omniscience versus free will thing, right?
Oh,
they
I hate
have
that.
This, like, they always have this little thing where they're like, oh, God doesn't. Oh, he actually watches the future, and that's how he knows, right? And I'm like, oh, well, I mean, let's think about that. If God is watching the future, that means that he's gaining information. God isn't gaining information, so God isn't watching no future. He just knows it.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
So
that's the problem. Go ahead.
What I've noticed is each time that fella has joined in a chat of mine, he's kind of derailed the conversation, and everyone has not wanted to really chat.
Raina.
Who?
The guy
Let me
that
type
Sailor
his name.
Moon guy.
This
Blue
guy
guy.
in the side chat.
Sailor Moon.
He's a nerd.
He's on different names. Spider-Man.
Oh, CTS are having a
came along. Say again?
You're roboting.
Oh, no, okay, your internet's bad. You have like an internet stroke.
I lagged out. I'm sorry.
Talking about the Raina guy?
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Bro, sounds like a robot with a heart attack. Oh no.
Damn, bro, that was fun. So what's
I
you
feel
guys?
bad.
What's the topic of the conversation? What's up?
So the topic of the conversation was pre-sup and free will and omniscience.
Oh, I see.
We were actually, before that guy joined, we were talking about.
Yeah, before
I
Rain,
can't hear him.
I was
Can I hear
talking about if you
Yeah,
could be an
we were
atheist
talking about
and say God
something and then you
exists
cut off.
in any context.
Yeah, I can.
And I would say no.
Do you guys want to know something? This is going to shock you. The guys who were here before, you know that stuff I said about the Christian boxing server, why they call it boxing? It's because that's what I used to do. I used to partake and spend my time to be like those little, I can't say the word here, but you know what I'm saying, those little bitches, right?
Rats.
Sitting there all day and every day. I can tell you the inner workings of these types of places, right? There's a strict hierarchy. You don't answer to people who've beaten you in debates before. You have to prove yourself constantly, right? So like these types of places, it's like either keyboard warrior, like you have to type super fast to get any words. Or you have to be quick. Everything's fast. There's no consideration. It's always just quick, and angry.
Oh, you talking about when the text messages?
No, yeah, I'm talking about Christian servers. Like, you know that Raina guy I said? He probably comes from one of them, right?
I don't know
it's
him.
like, yeah, Christians are just like, they're always arguing about something. And they're always like debating about
all the
something.
time.
Always
Well,
angrily.
within each other, though, like debating
Yeah,
the
Paul
dumbest stuff too.
Paul reduces it.
Yeah, and then they take that anger and then they go into philosophy and they ruin it basically by just extracting the only things that prove they're God or allegedly prove they're God.
Wait, you guys are atheists, right? Or
Yeah.
oh,
So that guy,
I'm a Christian. What's good? What you guys want to talk about?
that guy was. It sounded to me like he was kind of defining God as existing when he started off by saying that God is the necessary property or something like that.
Yeah, that's pre-sup.
He gave it some
You define God into existence.
Well,
I don't do that.
I did say that to him before you guys joined. I think that I don't know if the other guys, because we were like talking over each other, but I said necessary my asshole, that you're literally doing pre-sub. He didn't hear me say that.
I left the voice chat because he was there, and I didn't think that we were having a real conversation anymore.
Also, he loves the R
I've
word.
noticed
So, like he calls everyone the
that's
R word.
also
What R
it,
word?
it reminds me
Racist?
of Seitan Brute
No,
Cape.
Reed. Sorry.
Hey, Wesley.
Hello. And who are you?
Oh, I'm Hanko Flamo.
Oh, Flamo.
Yes.
Is that an adult name?
Let's say no. I don't know what the difference between an adult name and a non-adult name is. But
Yeah,
let's say no.
I'm the man with the dove of Jesus. I don't want you to tell the vision, and I'm not going to allow you to tell it. Enjoy taking the mark of the beast, the Omni. Goodbye.
I will. I didn't kick him. He just left him on his own. Let's get back to Discord. Oh, I had to open. I closed that tab. Okay, I had to open Discord again. Gotta close the tab, like an idiot. What could I mute? It was the fastest thing. I did the right thing. Let's get back to the place. Let's get back to the room.
Idea.
It's so stupid. It really is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
It's also completely irrelevant to anything. Like, why does it matter if Jesus was black?
Exactly. That's what I was saying. Like, it's about what he did.
Right, bro. He has holy waves, isn't it? Oh. He had dreadlocks, bro. That's why it matters. Like what? I don't know, man. It's almost
Yeah. So
like God is Mongol, or God is Asian, or Jesus is Asian, or Jesus was like Hawaiian or something. Does it really matter what Jesus was? I don't think so.
No, it doesn't. It's about what he did for us on the cross. Literally.
that guy Jones, the very first thing that I hear him say, the very first thing I hear that Rhina guy say is, well, that has to do with norms. You're talking about norms, something that has a normative value. It always starts with that, where like, oh well, look, your belief has some normative value.
That phrase makes me. That phrase, I've heard that phrase thousands of times. I'm telling you, every time I hear normative value, I lose it internally. I'm telling you, I can't take it anymore. It's torture.
I didn't know what that. I've never really spoken with these very philosophically deep Christians, where they try to come up with all these terms. I don't know those. I didn't know what that was. He had to teach me. Actually, it was another fella. He was trying to explain something to me and using a lot of jargon. And very fortunately, there was a fella named Tartarus who was explaining to me most of the jargon terms. So I was able to understand what he said the first time we spoke, but it totally threw off the whole conversation, sadly.
Yeah,
and it's still thrown off now. He threw it off now.
Honestly, wait, this guy with the turtle thing, right? I don't know if you noticed, but I don't know how he didn't notice. But the Reina guy, he should have asked me how I'm actually keeping up, because the pretending wasn't working well enough. I was predicting what he was saying before he said it. Like I think what was it? It was something about the induction. He said that something about the induction. Then I said, "Oh, are you gonna give me the dilemma?" We were talking over each other. It's really hard to remember what I said, but he's like, "Oh, what do you mean dilemma?" And then he gets into the actual dilemma himself. And I was like, "Okay, so where's the dichotomy? Where's the precept or whatever?" And like we got to that. So what I was trying to do was pretend. I've done this before. You just pretend like you don't know what they're saying. You pretend like you can't keep up, even though you know where it's going already. Like every word that's coming out of their mouth, right? and then you let them say all of the nonsense, and then you get them at the end. You know what I'm saying?
What did you say at the end?
Near the end, I was like, let's flip it on you. But I guess he got too scared. That's why he left.
Let's do what on you?
Let's flip it on you. What I was beginning to say was, how do you know anything? Then around then he left, I think.
Okay.
What are you nerds talking about now? I'm so confused.
Look, it's useless. If you ever hear someone mention normative value, presupposition, or what's the key one that like red flags to look out for in an idiot individual? What's like a word?
Well, presupposition is definitely one that I would avoid because I don't like those. They're just very, very boring conversations to talk about.
I mean, I think if someone is actually willing to discuss, okay, let's look at the presuppositions and how we justify them and give arguments. That's kind of interesting. Right? But when someone just keeps going, there's this guy called Facey Yard. Let me do my impression of him.
Yeah, but how do you know that? Yeah, but how do you know that?
But presupposition.
How do you know that? Yeah, but how do you know that? How do you know that about presup? Yeah, but how do you know that? Yeah, but you're laughing. How do you know that?
My senses. I use my senses. I use my allegedly God-given eyes and ears.
Senses.
Yes.
So you sense things like Denver. Do you? Do you fall over?
I don't have anything else to go on. I have to use.
How do you know that? How do you know that? How do you know that? For your senses, that's circular.
Okay, wait,
yeah, it's circular. It's the only thing I have options. I don't think I can use. What can I use? My senses. What can I? What else? What else?
Can I do the speech? I want to do the speech so bad. What grounds? What are your grounds for your knowledge? What is your foundation for your epistemological, historical, physical?
Yeah, I mean,
that's why those conversations are boring.
To be clear, very long to put my cards on the table a little bit. I do adhere to a form of
epistemologically
apologetics. I think that, but I does presuppose stuff, right? Like we all have I've never met a presuppositionalist man, and if you did, he'd be boring.
Right.
So.
Well, there are presuppositions, but what we're specifically talking about is presuppositionalist apologetics.
Yeah, but it's like me saying, I don't like X, and there's always like, I don't like music, but then there's like, wow, do you like, pop music? There's a lot of variation with it, so there's something to like. Maybe.
I agree with you, but like the apologist presups always trying to shove their dick down your mouth like 24/7. They can't have normal conversation.
No, I think it's boring when some guys like, well, how do you how do you justify this? And they just go the Bible or something like that. I think if someone's like, hey, well, I think there's these things that we presuppose, and the nature of these things is as such. How could we ground such things? Well, there's like, and someone has a conversation that can be kind of interesting, I think. But
it was amazing. That's the first time I ever heard of presup. Some kind guy, he came in, he explained a bunch of things to me. It took about 30 minutes. I was like, okay, I'm ready. Let's go. And then he's like, so basically, I'm gonna give you a presupposition here, and you don't have to accept it. And then he was really kind about it, and like he told me everything. And then he made all of the claims, and he didn't claim them to be objectively true somehow. You know what I'm saying? Like he just like lined them out. And that was lovely.
But yeah, I think there's a better conversation than like, I don't know, it's like if an atheist, right, maybe like from my side of the fence, like, all atheists, all they do is go, yeah, fucking God's horrible and you're a twat. But that's not like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of conversations.
How do atheists know God's horrible?
If that's the conversation you're having, yeah, it's probably awful. I've had them a few times, but there are some wonderful atheists I've had some really good conversations with, right? But like that Tartarus guy that you mentioned earlier, he's a fun guy to talk to. He wants to get in the weeds. Yeah, he wants to get in the weeds.
I'm impressed by his
and he knows
ability
the
to
terms,
explain.
and he's very fancy, and he's polite.
Well, it's not just that though. He's also very, very good at understanding his audience. He understands if the person he's speaking to doesn't.
I'll tell you what, the most interesting
and it's very polite in explaining it.
Was presenting a position to him. He was like, yeah, I think that position makes sense. And I was like, yeah, but you're an atheist. And he's like, yeah, but I mean, he's like, look, I don't accept everything else. But he's like, what you're putting forward there, I think that's a good argument for that. But then there's other things I don't. And it was just a good conversation. It always is with that guy. It's just a nice. And I'll say the same thing with him. I'll go, oh, that's a good point, man. Like, read into that. I'm going to talk again later. It's good. You can. It's like a repeat use. You can go back and have more fun with them. Do you know what I mean?
You know, guys, I thought to myself
Proto is cool for that,
after leaving that hellhole Christian server to never ever learn a new epistemological discovery ever again. When these nerds somewhere in these universities make the new big breakthrough argument, I'm not going to learn it because it's just taking up too much of my life. It's like ridiculous.
I have a question. I have a stupid argument.
No questions.
Yes, I have a stupid argument. I want to know what it is. It's not precept. It's that it's in that PDF file, or I can just read it out to you. So
what the hell? What did you just call me?
I didn't call
PDF. He called me PDF.
No, I didn't call you anything. So yeah. So like the title of it must be the resolution for the debate we're supposed to have today. Can you be an atheist and say gods exist in any context? I would say no, and I start with a bunch of definitions. So the first definition will be, of course, definition, a set of criteria that limits extent or usage. The next will be object, that which you can imagine or draw, that which has shape. Location, the set of distances from one object to all other objects. Entity, an object that has a location, that which you can see or touch. Abstract entity, an object with more than one location. Exists, to have a location. Time, to have more than one location. Context, the set of objects being invoked or embodied by an object. Universe, a set of objects that have physical presence with each other. Multiverse,
these are pretty good.
A set of objects that conditionally have physical presence with each other. Dimension, number coordinates needed to specify a location on an object. Science, to explain the presentation. God, object of worship, reverence, or dedication to, admiration. Nothing, object that doesn't exist that you present science on, the background. Theist, affirms witnessing gods. Atheist, denies witnessing gods. Agnostic, doesn't affirm or deny witnessing gods. And witness, testimony of seeing or touching an entity. So what I'm trying to get to is that you can't be an atheist and affirm witnessing gods in any context, because once you do, you'll be a theist. At least
I don't think that's what an atheist is, though, by my understanding. Oh, okay, he has a stop sign. Yeah, I don't think that's what an atheist is, by my understanding. An atheist is a person who just lacks a belief in a God. Doesn't matter whether you witness it or not. You can witness something and not believe it. You can not witness it and believe it. So, yeah.
So atheism.
No, look, this is a nice document, but at the end of the day, one of the closing statements is a little bit off. If you can tell the difference between one God and another God, then you're in contradiction. What if I'm telling you the difference between non-existing and a God? That's different, isn't it?
Non-existing and God? I would hope so.
Yeah, so that's different. Then that isn't another God. I just don't believe in the existence. Like, it's just not there. You know, it's not comparable to another God. It's just
all right. So someone else can say they don't believe in the non-existence of gods, and there's a problem with that.
Doesn't mean anything. It doesn't exist.
Steve McRae pointed out the problem with that, because you end up in a situation where you can be an atheist, agnostic, and a theist all at the same time. So you have to find atheism with more constraints to make the term useful.
And if I say that, what's it called? I do not believe in the presence of any God. Right? How does that entail that I believe in the presence of a God or existence of a God?
It doesn't. It does not necessarily entail you. And you can say, and someone else could say, they don't disbelieve the presence of a God. Now there's a possibility for someone. So if we define lack of belief in God as atheism, you could also define lack of belief in not God as theism. So you can have someone who's an atheist and a theist and agnostic at the same time. And that's just messy words.
Wait. What did you define theist as again? Theist?
Yeah, if you define theist as the lack of belief in no gods, then you can. It's possible to be an atheist, a theist, and an agnostic at the same time. So I don't like the lack of belief in not gods. Yes.
No, but can you just define theist as the belief in a god?
So my definition is of a theist is affirms witnessing gods, and witness is testimony of seeing or touching an entity. I don't like the Lacteum style definitions because you can have very bad contradictions in your just words and your meanings. So I don't like the Lacteism, atheism.
But let me just see the let me go back to the document and see where atheist and theist is. Okay, affirms witnessing gods, denies witnessing gods.
Yeah, that's what I use. But there's a Lacteism section that says atheism says the lack of belief in gods, and I say theism is just a lack of belief in no gods, lack atheism, and lack style definitions cause a semantic collapse where agnosticism should be. And that's based on the Steve McRae paper, how the presumption of atheism by the semantic square of opposition leads to a semantic collapse.
Denies seeing God. I think there's a problem maybe with denies. Oh God.
Well,
because instead of deny seeing witnessing gods, it should have been doesn't believe that witnessing gods is possible.
I really can't test it what they actually believe. I can't verify their beliefs. I can verify claims and what they say they believe. I can't hop into their minds and know what they actually believe.
Okay, well, if you ask me, I think you'd be hard pressed to make me believe that, to make me say that I believe that God exists, or it's even possible to witness this God.
Yeah, but have you seen the Dark Matter 2525 cartoon recently?
Of course.
Yeah, and I guess the main character is God, Yahweh, the Abrahamic God.
Yeah.
Well, aren't you in some sense witnessing God since you can see him acting out on screen for your entertainment?
Yeah, but this God, what's it called? What do I say? The Yahweh of Dark Matter 2525 has flaws written into his character, and he says things that God would never say.
Well, except you see God of the Bible doing exactly the same thing, because in fact he quotes the Bible a lot of time. So
yeah, I know.
So he has biblical references that God said or means to do the thing that he does in the cartoon.
Well, if you look, if you want to base off scripture, what I can just say to you is that believing that this thing doesn't exist, I'm not witnessing anything, or at least I'm not believing that I'm witnessing anything. It's just some guys writing in a book.
Well, how would you know what's in the book if you didn't read it?
No, I read it, but I'm saying the contents of the book do not mean that this being exists. I'm not witnessing anything. It's just the most I'm witnessing is the depiction of this being, not the being itself.
The depiction of being, not the being itself. How do you tell the difference?
I don't. That's the whole point.
Yeah, that's my whole point too.
But that's not really a good argument, though. Just prove that's God.
Well, it doesn't prove that's God, but there's a thing that people say is God, and you can witness that, and you know its properties. It could probably not be God still, but it doesn't. It kind of doesn't make any sense to me to say it's not God. So you can say it's not God, but my test for God is if there's any evidence of worship in an anthropological record, I would say that's a god. But if you have a different test, go ahead and propose it.
So if I watch a Harry Potter movie, does that mean I believe in wizards?
Yeah, no, but look, your final statement just doesn't work, right? Because there is the difference is one god and another god. That's a contradiction. Fair enough. Okay, and then claiming that no gods exist. But if I say one god and no god, that isn't a contradiction. Because I can just claim that one of them is correct.
Yeah. Well, you can claim one of them is correct. But if I'm arguing Christians, well, I would just go to the Bible itself and contradict them with the Bible, which there's plenty to use. So right now I have just some of the commandments, and that actually contradicts there only being one God. So,
I see, you're pagan.
Yeah.
I'm a pagan as well. Understandable.
Yeah.
Lacan paganism.
Yeah.
Paganism's pretty chill.
Yo, man, why did that guy leave? That Rainer guy, he was funny, man. Aw.
Yeah, I'm pretty boring. I apologize. I mean,
no, not you. This document was a good laugh. I muted my mic and had a good laugh after the descriptions of all the celebrities and shit.
Yep.
Especially the one.
Yeah. I like the money one. I still don't know what all those currencies are. I'm gonna look that up because someone say, "Well, your argument's garbage because you don't know all the currencies in that picture." So I'm still trying to figure out what they are.
Bro said Yahweh has a lot of real estate.
Yeah, it does. I mean, all the churches. Then he has the Holy Lands, and some of the non-church non-profits. I think he has Russia. So that's a lot of real estate that belongs to people who claim to be working on behalf of God. But yeah, what confuses me because the atheists say, well, God doesn't have any effect on reality. Then they do 3-hour talk shows on God's effect on reality.
I mean, bro, in your thing here, it says examples of why God of the Bible is not the God of classical theism. See the Bible, and then you rightly quoted Isaiah 45:7 KJV. But in the other translations and in other interpretations and in the ancient Hebrew, you can kind of get a sense that it's I create woe, not evil. I create calamity, and people make distinctions between those two.
Well, I had to talk more about it. I didn't get because I wasn't. That's not the trivial case, but I could probably write a whole book on how the God of classical theism and the God of Abrahamism is not the same God. So it's going to take a lot of details to make that certain that they're not the same God. I'm very, very sure they're not the same God, but you had to build a case. I think. But I bet the Jewish rabbis would say they're not the same God. But you had to build a case. It's going to take a while. But just a trivial case against most of the people that will run into, that will work.
But you absolutely cooked with the classical theism, bro.
I'm cooked with classical theism.
Wholly independent of all else, simple, completely without parts, immaterial. Whatever is made of matter has parts. For the matter for the matter of which it's made has parts, not spatially extended, without accidents, immutable, impossible, eternal. Bro, it's cooking.
But that's
necessarily.
I cited from someone else though. I got it from what's called the Routledge.org. So that's I didn't come up with that. That's what they came up with.
Fair enough. I mean, they were cooking then because this is heat. It just displays that God wouldn't do anything with these definitions, you know.
Yes, it does say that God wouldn't have any effect by the definition of classical theism. but the God of the Bible has an effect according to the Bible, so it can't be the same entity, in my opinion. I could be wrong still, but just my interpretation. There's no way that they'd be the same entity.
Of course, I believe you. I agree. I think it makes sense. Bro, wait, did you make this in like Google Doc, bro?
I'm LibreOffice writer.
Damn, I need to make documents like this. I was gonna make a document like every stupid thing that a precept kid has said.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a script for real. So if someone says, "Oh, you're using script," I just hand it to them. Please debunk.
That's a good one.
I'm sure I'm using
I
someone
already
else's
know
argument. I'm sure someone else came up with it first. I just don't know who yet.
I just don't like the precept scripts, you know. They don't. And sometimes we start the debate and I'm like, so how long is your script? And he's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, I know what you're gonna say, and then I say everything that they're gonna say, and they're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. So I get to know what you're talking about. How long is your script?
Yeah, I like precept when it destabilizes lactheism, but after that, there's no further use to it.
It's like, why don't you just? Did you hear what I said immediately when I got into the call? I said, why don't you just get to the point? Why don't you just get to the precept? Why don't you like? We already know how long your script is, bro.
Mm-hmm.
So just skip to the good part, bro.
Yeah.
Oh no, politics and religion. This Muslim hellscape. Jeez. Oh no.
I was considering going there. I think it was there like years ago, but I don't want to have Darth Dawkins banned because I pissed him off. So.
Yeah, Darth Dawkins really does not like me.
I don't know if he would like me or not. I know maybe for Jim Bob likes me. I'm in his server. I was on his show a couple of times, but I really doubt Darth Dawkins would like me.
I've met him exactly 3 times, and every time we talk, I ask him politely to just not waste my time, but he loves wasting people. So I was like, so why don't you just get to the precept with the truth table, right? And he's like, nah, I don't want to do that. We're gonna go through the whole thing so you understand this time. And I'm like, shut up, man. Like, what the fuck? Why don't we like? Can you imagine if someone like had a teleportation device, right? And you have to do this long and treacherous journey, an annoying journey, right? And then like, yeah, we're gonna do this. It's building. I hope you understand this time why we're going through this pain, right? When they have the teleportation device, wouldn't you get sick of them when they could just skip to the end?
It depends. If I did it before, yes, but otherwise, if the real One Piece was the friends I made along the way, then I'll just go with the journey.
Made some friends along the way. That's funny. Why don't you put Luffy in the famous people section?
No, well, do people worship Luffy? Well, I actually have a Luffy hat, so there's no good reason why I don't have him there. There's no good reason why I don't have him there. I have a Luffy hat, so that's a good point.
Oh, I need to jump into politics and debate and wrestle with Muslims who don't want to accept that precept is stupid. Bye bye.
Copy. All right, looks like the show's over. All right, looks like things on Discord chilled. We got the ticket in, so hopefully someone will actually fix the stage issue if it's fixable. I kind of doubt it. In fact, let me see if Wesley. Mic check. Yeah, Wesley was wrong. He was just broke. he was having issues with his settings too, but my audio is going through to StreamYard just like it has been this whole show. Yeah, I had to rename this because the debate didn't. This wasn't what we planned to do, but we did something, so that's what counts. We got something done, even though it's not the thing we wanted to do. So let's end the stream and go to the machine line. Wait. Maybe I could send. I could send my one person to machine lines. Let's go. How do I do that? How do I raid? Yeah, I need to go to my YouTube studio. Oh, sand machine. So how do I raid? What the? Oh, that's sharing. I'll just stop sharing. Ooh, someone else is here. Devices is here. Hey, Brandon.
Hey, Hank.
How do I raid another stream? I want to send everyone here to the machine lies.
So I restream this?
No, it sounds. As soon as you tell me how I can raid, send all my viewers, all 0 of them to the machine lies, then I'm gonna end the stream. So how do I send my 0 viewers to the machine lies? Do you know how to do the raid yet? I know I think he accepts raid. So
I did restream this on your channel yesterday until it blew it in the until that Flash channel stream blew it at the last moment.
yes, I know I'm a bad user. How do I send my viewers to the machine lies?
Flash came to my channel for a stream a few weeks ago. I almost got 100 new subs within the past week.
Oh, someone else is in Discord telling me how to do it. They're interesting. So yeah, that's something like that's how it works. But might as well. Should I rebridge you? Might as well. Because this is going to take like 15 minutes before we figure out how it works. So I'm going to rebridge you in. So, okay, now you're back. Now they can hear you on StreamYard. Brandon can't hear you.
Jesus is the best.
Of course.
Many people say I have the best streams on YouTube.
So, all right, content. But I don't have many people. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Flow State how he does it, and I'll do it next time. So that's just a cold closure. Let's just end it now.
Yeah, for real.